My farm is in the desert. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 1, The Passionate Desert. My passion is like a fire, burning the whole desert. The sun will hide from me when it sees me, and it is afraid of my fire of love. With me, the desert will never be lonely, and it is full of flowers of youth. I sing loudly, and you sing softly, intoxicated by the little river of love in the desert. You give me little raindrops to moisten my heart, and I give you little breezes to blow open your flowers. The little flowers in love belong to you and me. Our love is like a passionate desert. The desert highway in Gansu is sparsely populated. Looking around, there is only an endless sea of sand. The endless sea of sand looks very desolate, but it makes people open-minded and overflowing with the pride of the desert. Cai Hongming drove a modified four-wheeled motorcycle and sang loudly on the road, rushing to his home at the foot of the Kilian Mountains. Only at this time did he have the opportunity to open his throat and sing out his beautiful voice. Although many people said that his singing was so miserable that it was unbearable to listen to, his intuition told him that those guys were jealous, nakedly jealous. How could they, mortals, understand his wonderful singing that was so moving that it moved the heavens and the earth and made the gods and ghosts cry? Gillen has a long history. As early as the Neolithic age more than 4,000 years ago, primitive tribes with initial human civilization lived here for fishing, hunting and nomadic life. In the Xia and Shang dynasties, Gillen belonged to the ancient Yang Zhao. In the Western Zhao dynasty, it was resident by the Western Rang. In the Eastern Zhao and Qin dynasties, it belonged to the Yuezhi. In the early Han dynasty, it was inhabited by the Xiongnu. In the second year of Yuan Shao of Emperor Wu of the Han Dynasty, 121 BC, Huo Kubang conquered Hexi and established 4 counties in Hexi. Under Wu Wei County, 3 counties, Kangsang, Xi'an and Pu, were established. The jurisdiction of these 3 counties was about the entire territory of Guilin today and parts of Xi'anzhou Tibetan Autonomous County and Liangzhou District. In the Eastern Han Dynasty, Kangsang was changed to Kangsong, that is, Guilin. During the 3 Kingdoms period, Guilin was Wei and the county was named Kangsang. During the 16 Kingdoms period, the former Qin and former Liang, later Liang, Southern Liang, Northern Liang, and Western Liang, known as the 5 Liangs in history, took turns to rule and successively established Changsang County, Dongzhangai County, and Weiyan County, which governed Changsang, Xi'an, and Pu counties respectively. During the Southern and Northern dynasties, the Northern Wei, Western Wei, and Northern Zhao successively established Changsang County and Weiyan County, which governed Changsang, Xi'an, Mokao, Wenquan, and Baishan counties respectively. The Sui dynasty established Changsang County. In the first year of Chang'an in the Tang dynasty, 701 AD, Guo Yuanzhen, the governor of Liangzhou, attached great importance to national unity and built Heron City at the mouth of Guilin Gorge, which was later called Heron County and later changed to Changsang County. In the second year of Guangdi in the Tang dynasty, 764 AD, it was occupied by Tubao. In the second year of Xiantang in the Tang dynasty, 861 AD, Zhang Yichao led the Gie army to recapture Liangzhou, and Changsang's old land returned to the Tang dynasty. In the first year of Mingdao in the northern Song dynasty, 1032 AD, it belonged to the western Xia kingdom, and belonged to Ziliang prefecture. In the second year of Baoqing in the southern Song dynasty, 1226 AD, it was occupied by Genghis Khan of the Mongolian ethnic group, and belonged to the Yuan dynasty. A patrol inspection office was set up in Heron City, which belonged to Yangchang Road. In the early Ming dynasty, it was a garrison, and belonged to Zhuanglang Guard. In the 10th year of Han Wu in the Ming dynasty, 1377 AD, Jiang Heng, or 1,000 households of Liangzhou, changed his name to Guilin because of the river name, and built a city at the current seat of government. In the 3rd year of Zheng Tang in the Ming dynasty, 1438 AD, the Guilin guarding 1,000 households was set up, which belonged to Liangzhou Guard. In the second year of Yang Zheng in the Qing dynasty, 1724 AD, Guilin County was established, which belonged to Liangzhou Prefecture. The Republic of China was established, following the Qing system, and Guilin County was established, which was under the jurisdiction of Ganlian Dao. In 1927, the Dao was abolished and belonged to Gansu province. In 1935, it belonged to the 6th Administrative Inspection District of Gansu province. In 1936, it belonged to the Wuyi Commissioner's office, and now it is under the jurisdiction of Wuyi City. Although Guilin has a long history, it actually has nothing to do with Cai Hongming. In theory, he does not belong to this corner at all, but a mean person. Everyone has a time when they are young and frivolous. I don't know if it's evil. When he was young, his father actually fell in love with his mother from the northwest and married her. Later, because his mother missed home, she followed him here. He was surprised. What's good about this desert land where no birds shit? But his father obviously didn't think so. He stayed here for decades and took root here. After he was born, his parents were afraid that he would not adapt to the climate here, so they left him in Minnan to be taken care of by his grandparents until he was in junior high school. After a few years, the little bird became an old bird, and he also adapted to life here. But he still likes the landscape in southern Fujian. It's such a nice place. Looking around, you can see green mountains and clear waters. The girls are so pretty that they look like water will come out if you pinch them. They are nothing like the people here. They smell like sand and are particularly tough. He doesn't know how his father fell in love with his mother. He feels that his mother is not as charming as a flower. It is estimated that the two of them fell in love with each other. He doesn't know if his father will cry out sadly when he is old. I have no regrets in my life. I think of running under the sunset that day. That was my lost youth. The four-wheeled motorcycle drove forward quickly, and the wind whistled. The sky is blue and the ground is yellow. There are no other colors here, except blue and yellow. In the distance, small whirlwinds blow up the sand dunes, rolling up the yellow sand so high, like smoke rising from the ground, spinning and running in the desert. Cai Hongming drove and sang at the same time. The world seemed to be listening to his singing seriously, and from time to time it echoed with the whistling sound of the wind. Suddenly, he saw an off-road vehicle parked on the roadside in front of him. A girl in her 20s was standing next to the vehicle, anxiously gesturing for help. It seemed that the vehicle had broken down. He wanted to go home, and it was not on his way, so he didn't want to care and ignored her. Who knew that this woman, who was not sure if she was crazy, actually rushed towards his four-wheeled motorcycle without caring about her life, and scared him to brake urgently. Because he stopped too fast, his forehead hit the front glass. Fortunately, his brakes had just been repaired, otherwise he would have killed someone. Cai Hongming opened the car door angrily, pointed at the girl and cursed, "If you want to die, don't die in front of my car. There is a lot of sand over there. You can just find a pit to bury it. Do you know what you are doing? This is murder, the murder of Cai Guogo. If I didn't have good skills, I would have killed you long ago. I didn't mean it." The girl also knew that her behavior was inappropriate, and she said weakly beside her embarrassedly, "You didn't mean it, you did it on purpose. Otherwise you wouldn't have been so stupid to come and hit my car." Cai Hongming was almost mad at this stupid woman, and he started to scold her loudly, spitting on the girl's face. The girl was scolded so much that her eyes were blurred with tears, and she was so wronged that she almost cried. Several girls who were with her couldn't stand it and came over. One of them even shouted loudly, "Didn't I ask you to help me? If you are willing to help, help. If you don't want to, leave. Who cares about you? Ha, you are right to come here and die. So what if you are wrong, you bastard? Even if you beg us, we won't let you help," the girl said fiercely with her hands on her hips. "If you have backbone, please move aside. A good dog doesn't block the road." Cai Hongming glanced at the ignorant woman in front of him, sat back in the car arrogantly, and drove away directly. The fierce girl was so angry that she picked up a stone from the roadside and threw it at the car. With a bang, the stone hit the car. Cai Hongming looked back and didn't bother with this group of Jurassic dinosaurs in their manic phase. He drove the motorcycle forward at a high speed. After driving for a while, he was a little worried about the girls. This road is in the desert area and has always been sparsely populated. If he encounters bad guys, he will be doomed. Thinking of this, he quickly picked up the phone and asked someone to come and fix the car. "Shishi, why did you let him go?" The girl who stopped the car said to the tough girl while looking at the departing motorcycle. "What if you don't let him go? Do you have to listen to him whining here? I get angry when I hear him. What a bad guy," the tough girl said. "Then what should we do?" "It's okay. I've called my dad and he will be here soon. I told you not to come out to ask for help, but you didn't listen. You were scolded to death for nothing and you can't help. It's all my fault." The girl pouted angrily. "What's wrong with you? Everyone knows that Yi is as beautiful as a fairy and full of charm. A glance from her can make countless men infatuated and want to kneel down to lick your toes. It's a pity that the stinky man just now was too ignorant. You still say, 'No, no.'" The sturdy girl didn't say anything, but winked at the girls next to her. Everyone laughed at her. Yi scratched her armpit in embarrassment. For a while, there was a commotion. At this time, the autumn wind was blowing, and it was a good time to travel. Several people wanted to drive for a free trip, but they didn't expect the car to break down halfway. Shishi is a local and has called her family to come over, but Yi is the owner of the car. She couldn't save face, so she got out of the car for help. She didn't expect to meet Cai Hongming, a hot guy who didn't understand charm and was scolded severely. It was really helpless. Chapter 2 Kilian Village. Kilian Village is located on the edge of the Kilian Mountains. It is said that in the past, there were lush vegetation and rivers, and people grazed cattle and sheep, planted crops, and lived happily. But now, for some reason, there are no trees on the mountain, only some half-dead weeds grow sparsely, and in front of the village, it has become an endless desert. Because of the lack of water, the land is seriously desertified and cannot be cultivated, so the people of Kilian Village ran out to make a living. A few years ago, the government introduced a tributary of the Yellow River more than 10 kilometers away and mobilized the villagers to go there, and many people moved out of the village. Now there are only a few families left in the village who are nostalgic for their hometown, including Cai Hongming's family. However, their family also bought a house in the town, and they usually live there and come here only once every few days. When their family left, there were only a few lonely old people left in the village. Every windy season, the yellow sand blows all over the sky, and the lonely village and the few old people in it give people an indescribable feeling of desolation. When Cai Hongming returned to the village, he saw the Feng Shui master killing a fat rabbit by the well. After the land was seriously desertified, the wells in the village no longer produced water. Even if there was water, it was yellow, turbid, and salty alkaline water that was difficult to swallow. The water in this well is actually spring water flowing from the Kilian Mountains. It only has abundant rain in spring and summer, and it will dry up in autumn and winter. A few years ago, he specially dug a canal to lead the spring water to the dry well in the village, and the well had water again. He grew up in southern Fujian when he was a child and only transferred here to study in junior high school. After graduating from junior high school, because of poor grades and dislike of studying, he went out to work. Later, he got tired of working for others, so he ran back to the town to set up a stall to sell barbecue. After a few years, he felt that he could support himself. I remember that, when he first came to Gilang and saw the environment here, his first feeling was desolate. Later, when he arrived in Kilian Village, he wondered how there were people living in this place where no one was going to live. In southern Fujian, even the most barren land will grow numerous weeds after being moistened by rain, but at that time, Kilian Village did not even have a single tree, let alone weeds. Later, he really couldn't stand it anymore, so he bought saplings and planted them. After a few years, he planted trees all around the village. Now the saplings have grown into big trees, lush and green, barely able to block some of the wind and sand blowing in from outside, which makes Cai Hongming feel very accomplished. 8th Master, the food is good today. Cai Hongming parked the car and teased 8th Master who was killing rabbits. Needless to say, come to my house later to eat, and we'll have a drink together. 8th Master laughed happily. The elderly are like children. If you praise them a few words, they will be very happy. Okay. Now there is only 1/8 master who reads feng shui for people, 1/5 master who farms, 1/3 master who herds sheep, and one foolish uncle fu left in the village. Among these people, Bagan was the most carefree. Whenever he had time, he would buy delicious food to improve his diet. He was unlike Sanai, who was herding sheep. Whenever he had money, he would put it away and hide it tightly. He was very stingy. The two were talking when a big man came out of the next room. Seeing Cai Hongming, he turned back to the room. After a while, he took out a big red apple and stuffed it into his arms. Your Uncle Fu is the best to you. Last time I went out, he kept the apple for you to eat. No matter what I said, he would not listen. Thank you, Uncle Fu. Cai Hongming took the apple and took a big bite. It was sweet. Uncle Fu had a problem with his brain and was stupid, but fortunately, he could take care of himself and was very good to him. Whenever he had something delicious, he would leave it for him. After eating the apple, Cai Hongming went to the car to move the things he brought back to each family. It takes half a day to drive from the town to here, and it is not convenient to buy things, so the old people usually let him bring anything they want to buy. After delivering the things and seeing that there was nothing to do, Cai Hongming changed into old clothes and walked out, but was stopped by Hachiko. It's time to eat. Where are you going? I'm going to the mountain to take a look. When can't you take a look? It's almost time to eat, and you're still running around. Go after you eat. Hearing him say this, Cai Hongming had to give up. Lunch was made by the idiot Uncle Fu. Uncle Fu is a good person. He can work and cook, but he is stupid and his intelligence is below the average level of children. He needs to be taught everything by hand, so no one is willing to marry him until now. Which woman would be willing to marry a fool, let alone in a place like this? After eating, Cai Hongming took a rest and walked out of the village. He walked around the village and saw that all the saplings planted this year survived. He nodded with satisfaction and walked to the mountain behind the village. In recent years, he bought saplings and planted them on the edge of the village, hoping that the saplings would grow into a circle of protective forests to protect the village from the increasingly severe sandstorms outside. However, it seems that the effect is not very good now, because as long as the wind blows, the sand will fly all over the sky, covering the sky and the sun. His small windbreak is not enough, but it finally brought a little green to this desolate place. Unlike before, when all you could see was a bleak yellow. The trees in the innermost part of the windbreak forest close to the village were planted by him a few years ago, and now they have grown into talents. This is the poplar in the desert that is known as living for 1,000 years without dying, dying for 1,000 years without falling, falling for 1,000 years without decay, 3,000 years of poplar, and a history of 100 million years. I don't know if it is because of the planting of trees, but the well in the village that stores spring water has never dried up in the past 2 years even in the drought season. Water irrigates the trees, and the big trees block the wind, forming a cycle that never stops, just like the inheritance of heaven and earth. Cai Hongming plants trees every year, and now he has planted 2 protective forests made of trees around the village. The first protective forest is 20 meters long and has 5 rows of trees, and the second windbreak is 30 meters long and has 10 rows of trees. There is a large area of land between the 2 protective forests for planting things. The land in the village is actually very fertile, but it is covered with a layer of sand by the wind and sand, and it has become impossible to cultivate due to lack of water. Now that the wind and sand are blocked, you only need to shovel a little bit of the fine sand on it before you can plant things. In the early spring of this year, he spent a lot of money to plant the third 40-meter wide protective forest. If it grows up next year, the village should no longer have to worry about the invasion of wind and sand. Kilian village is located on the edge of the Kilian mountains, and behind the village is a winding mountain range. In the past, the trees were lush and the grass was thriving, but later the trees were cut down, and coupled with drought and water shortage, desertification was serious. Now there are only clusters of yellow wild grass with a little green in the east and west on the mountain. Cai Hongming climbed up the mountain behind the village, stood on it, and looked into the distance. In the distance, a vast expanse of yellow sand came into view, and in the distance, there were rolling hills, all made of the same yellow sand. This was a world of yellow sand, an ocean of yellow sand, where the endless yellow sand met the sky, and it was impossible to imagine where the end was. After looking for a while, he walked back. After walking for about half an hour, the yellow hillside that was originally covered with withered yellow weeds gradually became green. Going further, he saw a bush. Looking into the distance, tall trees appeared in his eyes. That was where the main vein of the Kilian Mountains was located. There were lush trees and lush vegetation, exuding vitality, which formed a sharp contrast with the dead desert. Chapter 3 Jade Tripod. There is a long abandoned Taoist temple on the back mountain of Kilian village. According to the old people in the village, when the vegetation here was lush, the Taoist temple was very popular, and people from all over the country would come here to burn incense. Later, as the land became desertified, people from the surrounding villages kept moving away, and the Taoist temple also declined. Finally, even the Taoist priests inside left, and the Taoist temple was abandoned. Later, someone in the village built a house, and saw that the beams, bricks, and stones of the Taoist temple were good, so they moved in and used them. Gradually, the Taoist temple was left with only a foundation covered with weeds, and a pile of broken bricks and tiles. Standing on the mountain, where the Taoist temple is located, you can overlook the scenery in the distance and enjoy the spectacular sight of the yellow sunset in the desert. So Cai Hongming used to come here to play. By chance, he discovered that there was a well buried in front of the weed-covered foundation of the Taoist temple. The well was covered with stone slabs, and covered with mud. If he hadn't been bored, and digging for fun, he wouldn't have discovered it. There is water in the well, and the water is sweet and it never stops all year round. Later, when the village was short of water, he used a water pipe to bring water to the village, and when he needed it, he used a water pump, which saved him the trouble of running back and forth from the town to the village every time the water was dry. After discovering the well, he opened a piece of land in front of the Taoist temple to grow things, mainly sweet potatoes. When he first came to Kilian village, he found that there were no sweet potatoes in this place, only potatoes. In the past, outsiders often tease the locals with the sentence farmers have three treasures to entertain guests: roasted potatoes, fried potatoes, and potato soup to make you full. From this sentence, we can see that the locals loved potatoes. Unfortunately, he didn't like them, so he specially asked someone to mail his favorite sweet potatoes from southern Fujian to plant here. After several years of hard work, the sweet potatoes he planted were enough for him to eat for a year. When he came to the sweet potato field and looked at the neat rows of sweet potatoes, Cai Hongming was full of pride. Now it is autumn, the weather is getting colder, and the sweet potato leaves are gradually withering and yellowing. You can see that under the withered and yellow leaves, fat sweet potatoes are breaking through the soil and sticking out of the ground. Cai Hongming walked to a piece of sweet potato sticking out of the ground, squatted down and started digging. After a while, a palm-sized sweet potato emerged from the soil. When he dug it out, he saw that it weighed about 2 kilograms. For these sweet potatoes, he started watering and fertilizing since the beginning of spring, and now he finally has a harvest. After taking a look, he put down the sweet potatoes and ran to a small wooden house built next to the sweet potato field to find a hoe to dig sweet potatoes. After a few digs, he had harvested a lot. For convenience, he built a wooden house on the original foundation of the Taoist temple to store tools and occasionally slept here. Here, looking at the starry sky at night and feeling the breeze, people have an indescribable pleasure. After digging almost a bag of sweet potatoes, Cai Hongming went to the house to find a bag to pack the big sweet potatoes, leaving some small ones for tribute sweet potatoes. To make tribute sweet potatoes, you first need to build a small earthen kiln, then use firewood to burn the kiln red, then take off the soil blocks on top and throw the sweet potatoes in, then push the red hot kiln down and cover the sweet potatoes with it and smash them, and finally cover it with a layer of soil to prevent the heat from escaping. The tribute sweet potatoes are mainly stewed with the red hot soil and the ashes of the firewood inside. In this way, the tribute sweet potatoes are particularly sweet and delicious, full of childlike innocence and fun. It is the best game to play with friends. Cai Hongming has done this a lot in his hometown in southern Fujian. To build an earthen kiln, you first need to dig a pit for burning firewood below, and then build an earthen kiln on the pit with soil blocks. So Cai Hongming picked up a hoe and dug underground. After digging a few times, he suddenly heard a dark sound. It seems like there is something. Curious, he picked up a hoe and dug down, and soon he dug up a square wooden box from below. The wooden box was about 30 centimeters long, completely black, with bronze covering the four corners. There was a green copper buckle in front of the box. It looked ordinary, but there was a faint fragrance lingering around it. Could it be that he had dug up a treasure? Cai Hongming raised his eyebrows. His joy was beyond words. He no longer cared about the tribute sweet potatoes, and ran to the wooden house with the box in his arms. Back in the house, he washed his hands solemnly, wiped them clean, and then opened the copper buckle. A ray of light suddenly rushed out from inside, but disappeared in an instant. A closer look revealed that there was a jade tripod inside, and the jade tripod was surrounded by gold and yellow silk, apparently to prevent the jade tripod from being damaged. The jade tripod was square, the color was like emerald feathers, the whole body was round and smooth, and there were inexplicable patterns engraved around it, exuding an ancient, heavy, and majestic atmosphere, a bit like items from the Shang and Zhou dynasties. He had seen bronze tripods from the Shang and Zhou dynasties engraved with similar patterns before. He was rich, very rich. For a moment, Cai Hongming's eyebrows danced with joy. Regardless of whether this thing was an item from the Shang and Zhou dynasties, the material of the jade tripod itself was extraordinary. Hey! Suddenly, he found that there was a pool of water in the jade tripod, as vast and bright as the moonlight. Strange, how could there be water in the jade tripod when it was placed in a box? Could it be that the earth's energy seeped into the box and turned into watermarks? Cai Hongming thought about it, put his nose close to it and smelled it, and felt that the water in the jade tripod did not have the rotten smell of the earth's energy, but instead had a natural fragrance, which was very pleasant. After thinking about it, he had no solution, so he poured the water into the sweet potato field outside, and then wiped the jade tripod carefully with a tissue, before putting it back in the box, intending to find a place to bury it. This thing must not be exposed to people, otherwise it would be a source of trouble. The ancients said, a man is innocent, but he is guilty of holding a treasure. It is not without reason. Just after he put the jade tripod back into the wooden box, he suddenly found that the jade tripod actually emitted a bright light in the dark, which shocked his titanium dog eyes. He couldn't believe what he saw in front of him, and hurriedly took the jade tripod to a dark corner. In the dark, the jade tripod emitted a faint light, like a firefly. No wonder he saw a light rushing out when he opened the box. It turned out that it was the light emitted by the jade tripod in the dark. If the jade tripod was just a valuable treasure in his mind just now, then now the jade tripod is something that cannot be measured by money in his mind. Have you ever seen jade glow? Looking at the jade tripod, he looked around with a guilty conscience, but he was still a little worried. He hurriedly ran out of the house to check, and found that there was no one around, so he was relieved. This thing is too important. In the future, unless it is absolutely necessary, he will never take it out again, otherwise it will definitely be troublesome if someone sees it. Thinking of this, he closed the box containing the jade tripod again, and then dug a pit next to the wooden house to bury the box, so that no one would come here to steal the things. As for the idea of taking the jade tripod home, he had never thought about it. Whether in the village or in the town, there were people. As long as there were people, the jade tripod would be at risk of being leaked, so he dared not be careless. It was not that he thought people's hearts were too complicated, but people nowadays would do anything for money, so he had to be careful. After burying the jade tripod, he pulled some sweet potato vines that were not completely withered, and then walked down the mountain with a large bag of sweet potatoes on his back. Chapter 4, God's Will. As the sun sets, colorful clouds cross the sky. The sand sea emits colorful light under the reflection of the sunset. In a trance, Cai Hongming only felt that the yellow sand on the sand sea was surging like waves, one wave after another. When he returned to the village, he saw Baigong holding a jade piece and playing his favorite dragon-headed thunder, singing the vicissitudes of Liang's old tune. The sound of thunder, tight, slow, and urgent, has endless charm, making people unable to help but immerse themselves in it. Cai Hongming likes to listen to this old tune the most. He feels that this sounds very tasteful. Listening to it, it seems like listening to history, listening to the old man telling a series of ancient vicissitudes of life. He couldn't help but lighten his steps. Beigong, who played the thunder, didn't like people to disturb him at this time. If he was scolded a few times, it would be good. If he felt uncomfortable, he would take something and hit people directly, so it's better to be careful. Walking into the kitchen, he saw Shafashu cooking inside, so he put down the sweet potatoes on his back. These sweet potatoes are to be eaten here, and the sweet potato vines are used for cold dishes. Sweet potato vines are a new variety. They don't grow many sweet potatoes, but only leaves. However, when they are fried, they taste similar to water spinach, especially when they are served cold. No salt or MSG is needed. It tastes especially good when soy sauce is added. Hongming, you're back. Ah Fu greeted him foolishly. Yeah. Cai Hongming nodded and asked, Uncle Fu, what are you cooking? Cooking. What's for dinner? Radish. What else? Radish. Cai Hongming rolled his eyes and felt that he couldn't communicate with him. He searched the kitchen and found that in addition to radish, there were only some leftover dishes from lunch. So, he picked up some sweet potato vines and boiled them in boiling water, added soy sauce and fried shallots, and then went to the refrigerator to get some braised food he brought with him. After finishing, he walked out of the kitchen and saw that Beigong stopped playing the piano, and the third master who was herding sheep and the fifth master who was working in the fields also came back, so he took the food to the hall. There are only a few people in the village, so usually everyone gets together to eat, which is quite lively. Hongming, come, have a drink. Bagan poured Cai Hongming a glass of wine and drank with him. Among these people, Bagan is the oldest, the most senior, and the healthiest. Sometimes he was invited to look at Feng Shui, and he could climb 2 mountains without blushing or panting, which was better than young people. Hongming, how many sheep are you going to take back this time? Asked the shepherd Sanai. Take 5. So we don't have to come often. By the way, Sanai, do we have any ewes that produce milk now? I want to take one back. No now, but there was one last month. I gave all the milk to Afu. Look, he has gained weight. Seeing Sanai talking about him, silly Afu laughed foolishly, and he didn't know what he was laughing at. After dinner, Cai Hongming chatted with a few old people for a while, and then went home to watch TV. The TV programs broadcast on TV nowadays are really hard to love. After watching for a while, he threw the remote control and went back to his room to surf the internet. Thanks to the previous policy of connecting every village, the village has electricity and the internet, but unfortunately only China Telecom. In this place, China Mobile and China Unicom's wired networks are out of the question. When Cai Hongming surfs the internet, he always reads books. He has a strange taste. He rarely watches movies other than kung fu movies, and he rarely likes songs, so he spends most of his time reading. After reading for a while, he felt his eyes sore, so he walked to the window to look at the dark night sky outside. At this time, he suddenly thought of the jade tripod he dug in the afternoon and suddenly became worried. What if the jade tripod was stolen? The more he thought about it, the more uneasy he felt, and he couldn't even read the book. Finally, he simply turned off the computer, turned around and left the house, said goodbye to the old man, and walked towards the mountain. When he came back here, he would occasionally spend the night in the mountains. The old people were already used to it. After listening, they nodded and didn't say anything, but just reminded him to be careful. Arriving at the mountain, Cai Hongming could not wait to dig out the box containing the jade tripod from the side of the wooden house. After opening it, he was relieved to see that the jade tripod inside was intact. It was also because he was too nervous, otherwise no one would come here. There was no electricity on the mountain, only candles. In the house, the faint light of the candle shone on the jade tripod as white as snow, which was indescribably charming. Pushing open the window, there was a bright moon and the night sky like a mirror. The moonlight sprinkled in front of the window and fell on the jade tripod. Cai Hongming was surprised to find that a layer of misty fog was lingering in the jade tripod. He was very strange in his heart and hurriedly put the jade tripod on the table. He observed it carefully and found that the mist in the jade tripod became thicker and thicker as he went down and gradually condensed into a tiny drop of water. This is too magical. This thing can actually absorb moonlight and transform it into water droplets. Weird. He tried to take the jade tripod to other places and found that it was difficult to form mist and water droplets in the jade tripod in places without moonlight. He calculated that the jade tripod absorbed moonlight for an hour and only condensed 2 drops of water the size of soybeans. What is the use of this thing? I remember reading in a book that the ancients collected the dew of hundreds of flowers and drank it. It is said that it can beautify the skin and make people immortal. I don't know if the water drops condensed by moonlight can work. Cai Hongming thought so. At this moment, he suddenly saw something embroidered on the golden silk under the jade tripod in the wooden box. He quickly picked it up and found that it was embroidered with images of human figures. These human figures were sitting cross-legged and making various mysterious gestures. There were also fly-sized words embroidered next to them, but unfortunately they were ancient seal characters. He didn't understand them. After looking at it, he really couldn't understand it, so he had to give up. He wanted to wait until he got down the mountain tomorrow to check it online. He wanted to go back immediately, but when he came out, he said that he would not go back at night. It would feel strange to go back. After hiding the golden silk close to his body, Cai Hongming continued to look at the jade tripod on the table. The water drops in the jade tripod had condensed into 4 drops, and they were still condensing. After looking at it, he felt that there was nothing strange, so he picked up the jade tripod, wiped the water inside with a tissue, and put it in the box, then carefully hid the box in the pile of sundries under the bed, and then went to bed with peace of mind. In the early morning, the morning sun shone through the gap in the wooden house, and shone on Cai Hongming's eyes. After an unknown amount of time, Cai Hongming felt his eyes were hot and woke up. After seeing the sunlight shining on his eyes, he turned over and planned to continue sleeping. Suddenly, there was a sound outside, and he hurriedly got up and looked out through the gap in the wooden house. You don't know until you see it, and you will be shocked when you see it. A big male deer came outside at some point, standing in the sweet potato field and eating sweet potato leaves slowly and elegantly. Wow, he has been here for so long and has never seen a deer here. He didn't expect that he would come here by himself today. This deer is very big, with 2 big horns on its head. It must be delicious if it is cut off and soaked in wine. Deer antlers, baby, good stuff. There was also the venison and deer penis, which made people drool just thinking about it. Cai Hongming looked into the house and found a hatchet from the corner, planning to keep the male deer and have a venison hot pot with bagang and the others in the evening. Otherwise it would be a shame for the kindness given by God. Chapter 5. Another group comes. Cai Hongming quietly opened the door and was about to pounce on the male deer. At this moment, a group of wild boars came from the back of the forest, and he quickly closed the door again. It was called a group, but it was actually a whole family. 2 male and female wild boars and 4 or 5 small wild boars ran from a distance, grunting, scaring the male deer who was eating sweet potato leaves, and almost ran away. However, seeing that the wild boar family seemed to have no ill intentions, it continued to eat sweet potato leaves next to it. As soon as the wild boar came, it buried its head in the sweet potato and ate it. After a while, it seemed to be attracted by the sweet potato leaves and turned to eat the sweet potato leaves. Cai Hongming laughed at what he saw. What a group of stupid pigs. What's so delicious about sweet potato leaves? If you want to eat sweet potatoes. The male deer was getting closer and closer to him, not far from the door. Cai Hongming quickly opened the door, exerted force on his feet, and suddenly pounced on the male deer. The male deer was also alert. When he heard the sound, he turned around and ran. Cai Hongming failed to catch the deer, and he lay flat on the sweet potato field, his face covered in mud, looking very embarrassed. However, he was not discouraged, and he got up and continued to chase the deer. Perhaps because he ran too fast, the deer did not look in front of him and accidentally bumped into a tree. Cai Hongming took this opportunity to catch up and pounce on the deer, holding its neck tightly. The deer struggled desperately, stood up and ran away, but after a few steps, he was pressed to the ground by Cai Hongming again. Yo. Cai Hongming pressed the deer down, picked up the hatchet, and was about to chop the deer's neck, when he suddenly heard a sad cry. When a deer is about to die, its cry is also sad. Cai Hongming saw that the deer's eyes were filled with deep sorrow, and he couldn't help but feel sorry for it. On impulse, he let it go. The deer was able to escape, ran away quickly, and disappeared into the woods in an instant. Cai Hongming's mouth twitched when he saw that a large piece of venison was gone. At this moment, he suddenly remembered that there was a group of wild boars in the sweet potato field, and he ran back excitedly. However, when he returned to the sweet potato field, not to mention the wild boars, even the wild boar hares were gone. At this moment, he began to regret his impulsiveness. If only he had not let the big buck go, the piece of venison that was about to be eaten would be gone. Alas, it was all his fault for being too kind. He hadn't eaten in the morning yet, and he had just spent a lot of effort chasing the buck, which made him hungry. He hurriedly ran into the wooden house to get some rice from the rice jar and washed it, and cut a few pieces of sweet potatoes to cook together. The porridge made of sweet potatoes and rice tasted very sweet, and was the most appetizing. After breakfast, he took out a hoe from the house to dig sweet potatoes. After digging for a while, he suddenly found that something was wrong with the sweet potato field in front of the house. It was autumn, and the weather was getting colder. The sweet potato leaves had already turned dark green and withered, but the sweet potato leaves in front of the house were still green and pleasant. What happened? I remember that it didn't seem to be like this yesterday. Cai Hongming walked over curiously and pulled up the sweet potato vine and suddenly saw a huge sweet potato growing under the vine. He quickly put down the hoe, took out a small shovel, and carefully dug it. After a while, the sweet potato was dug out, and it was as big as a big pumpkin, with a diameter of about 60 centimeters. At this moment, Cai Hongming was stunned. He often applied mature livestock manure to the land, and sometimes went to the mountains to dig fertile soil and fertilizer, so he didn't feel strange at all that the sweet potatoes that were 2 hands big, 3 or 4 pounds or even 4 or 5 pounds grew in this land. But it was strange to grow a sweet potato the size of a big pumpkin, and the sweet potato leaves were still so green. What's going on? Cai Hongming thought about it, and found that the strange things seemed to have started today. Yesterday, the sweet potato leaves seemed to be withered and yellow. So, could it be because of the water in the jade tripod that he poured into the land yesterday? That water has such a big effect? He couldn't believe it. But thinking about it made his heart burn. If the water in the jade tripod had this effect, it would be amazing. At this time, he remembered the ancient seals on the golden silk and yellow silk used to pad the jade tripod, and wondered if there was any information about the jade tripod water in them. In view of this, he hurriedly dug a large bag of sweet potatoes and carried them down the mountain and went home to search the internet for the meaning of the ancient seals on the golden silk and yellow silk. As for the pumpkin-sized sweet potato he dug at first, he put it in the wooden house first to avoid scaring people. The ancient seals are still translated into modern characters in classical Chinese. Fortunately, Cai Hongming has some knowledge of classical Chinese, and with a little guessing, he finally understood the meaning of the ancient seals on the golden silk and yellow silk. According to the ancient seals on the golden silk and yellow silk, the jade tripod has a magical effect, which is to absorb the essence of the bright moon and transform it into jade-toad liquid. The mysterious patterns on the jade tripod are actually the info that guides the essence of the bright moon. In addition to the description of the jade tripod, the golden silk and yellow silk also record the guiding technique of an ancient Qigong practitioner called fetal breathing sutra. It is said that people are originally born in the womb and breathe innate qi. However, after coming out of the womb, they are polluted and faded by the turbid qi of the secular world. The innate qi disappears, and people become difficult to practice. And this Taoist sutra is a method that allows people to improve their physical fitness through Taoist guidance, return to the innate state, and is conducive to practice. After reading the information on the golden silk, Cai Hongming was almost obsessed. When he was a child, he liked to practice martial arts, and often got up at 5 or 6 o'clock to exercise. Later, He became obsessed with Qigong and bought 7 or 8 books on Qigong practice on the market. He tried all kinds of ancient golden elixir heart method, key collection method, and bedroom technique, but unfortunately, none of them succeeded in the end. I didn't expect to get an ancient guiding technique today. Although I don't know if it is useful, it should be fine to practice it. The most important thing is that it says that drinking the jade toad liquid formed by absorbing the essence of the bright moon from the jade tripod every day is helpful for practice. From this point of view, he feels that this Taoist sutra is quite reliable. The text recorded on the golden silk also said that the jade toad liquid can not only be used for cultivation, but also can turn decay into magic, turning herbs that were not old enough into herbs with high age. Unfortunately, there is not much of this jade toad liquid. At most, only 9 drops can be condensed in one night. What can 9 drops do? Cai Hongming was very skeptical. However, it was said above that the jade toad liquid must be diluted with water before drinking, otherwise the body will not be able to withstand the impact of the medicine and will be shattered. Thinking of the description inside, he shuddered. It's okay to practice the Taoist sutra, but you have to think about drinking the jade toad liquid. It's unknown whether drinking this unclear thing will kill people, so he wanted to find something to try first to see if it works. So he took a hoe and a plastic bucket from home and went out to find something alive. Walking out of the protective forest guarding the village, looking around, there was only a piece of yellow sand, nothing but yellow. When there were people cultivating the land, there was still a little green. Since the people left, the land was invaded by wind and sand, and all that was left was endless yellow sand. Kilian village is located in a valley, with a mountain at its back, small hills on both sides, and a flat land in front. It is said that there used to be a lake here, but it disappeared later, and was reclaimed into farmland. Later, sandstorms hit and the land degraded, and it became what it is today. Cai Hongming was looking for scorpions. There are many scorpion nests here. In the past, he often used a hoe to dig scorpions and fried them to eat. Scorpions taste good when fried, a bit like cicada monkeys, a bit like locusts, silkworm pupae, etc. Anyway, these insects taste almost the same when fried. After looking at the place, he took the hoe and walked to a hillside on the left. Chapter 6 White Scorpion. There are many scorpions in China. You can see their footprints in the south, north, east and west. They mostly live on hillsides with foliated rocks mixed with soil, and in places where the vegetation is neither dry nor wet, with sparse vegetation and some grass and shrubs. It is difficult to see them in places with trees, weeds, excessive humidity, no stone or soil hills, and many ants. There used to be many scorpion nests around Kilian village, but they have been caught by Cai Hongming in recent years. Now he can only run outside the village to catch scorpions. He catches scorpions not only for eating, but also for medicine. Scorpions are flat in nature, sweet and spicy in taste, poisonous, and have the effects of dispelling wind, calming spasms, relieving pain, unblocking meridians, and detoxifying. His family has been practicing orthopedics for generations. His father is an orthopedic physician, and he is very famous in Guilin and even Langzhou. Some orthopedic plasters require scorpions, so he has to catch them himself. After a while, Cai Hongming came to the foot of the hillside. Scorpions like moisture, but are afraid of humidity, like darkness but are afraid of strong light stimulation. Therefore, they usually choose places that are not exposed to direct sunlight, but are not too shaded. Cai Hongming looked for a while, and found traces of scorpions coming in and out under a piece of gravel. He quickly picked up a hoe and started digging. Soon, he dug a hole. The scorpions in the hole were frightened and crawled out one after another. Cai Hongming looked at it and quickly grabbed the scorpion that was about to escape and put it in the plastic bucket he brought. You must be very careful when catching scorpions. You must grab the tail sting and never get stung, otherwise it will be red and swollen like being stung by a hornet. Although the scorpion's venom is not fatal, it will be very itchy and uncomfortable. It will take several hours or even 2 or 3 days to get better. After catching the scorpion that ran out, Cai Hongming picked up the hoe and continued to dig into the scorpion hole to see if there were any fish that escaped. Sure enough, there was one. With one hoe, a scorpion was dug out along with the sand. This scorpion was bigger than the previous ones, about 8 centimeters long, and it was not moving after being dug out. I don't know if this guy has albinism. His whole body is full of wrinkles, dull and white, just like the bark of a tree that has lost moisture and dried up. Cai Hongming picked up a branch from the side and pricked it. The scorpion moved, obviously still alive, but for some reason, it looked like it was about to die. This is good. If it can still come back to life after drinking the jade toad liquid, then it can better illustrate the magic of the jade toad liquid. Then, he found another scorpion cave, dug a nest of scorpions, and looked at the bucket. There were about a dozen scorpions before he went back. When he got home, he found a large glass bottle to put the white scorpion that looked like it was about to die, and then he went to the kitchen with a dozen scorpions in the bucket. In the evening, he planned to use these scorpions to make fried desert scorpions, which would taste like potato chips, crispy. After dinner, he returned to the house and took out the jade tripod to look at it. He liked it the more he looked at it. The sun was setting, the sky was not dark yet, and the moon was still resting, so the jade tripod could not absorb the essence of the bright moon for the time being. As he watched, Cai Hongming suddenly felt that the jade tripod was too conspicuous. What if someone saw it? Anyone would know that this thing was a treasure. What if someone accidentally saw it and stole it? He had planned to bury it in the mountains before, but now that he knew the function of the jade tripod, how could he not carry it with him all the time? After thinking about it, he decided to disguise the jade tripod, so he went to the mountains to find a few resilient vines and came back to weave them into a cage to wrap the jade tripod inside, leaving only a hole at the top for it to absorb the essence of the bright moon. Cai Hongming was very satisfied with the jade tripod that was emitting a faint light in the cage. If he didn't look closely, he would never see what was inside. In this way, people would not feel strange when they saw it. At most, they would think it was just a craft with a light bulb or candle inside. But you still have to be careful not to be taken away by someone. As night fell, moonlight fell on the windowsill, and the jade tripod kept absorbing the essence of the bright moon and transforming it into jade toad liquid. The jade tripod can only transform 9 drops of jade toad liquid in one night, counting from 7 o'clock when the moon appears to 5 o'clock the next day. A day is 10 hours, so it takes more than an hour to condense 1 drop of jade toad liquid. Cai Hongming waited so hard that he finally waited for 1 drop. At this time, he suddenly thought that the cage wrapped around the jade tripod. How could he get the jade toad liquid? As a last resort, he had to dismantle the cage and then took out the jade toad liquid and put it into the prepared water. The ratio of water to water was 1 to 100. After preparing it, he stirred it, took out an unused small teacup from the cabinet, poured the water into it, and fed it to the half-dead white scorpion caught during the day. The white scorpion seemed to sense something. As soon as it was released, it struggled to crawl to the teacup, then lay on it and drank it. After drinking, it lay there motionless again, as if it was dead. Cai Hongming thought it was dead, so he rubbed it with the bottle and found that it was still alive, so he put it in the bottle. After thinking about it, he still felt a little worried, so he went to the backyard to catch a little rooster. These chickens were raised in his backyard, and usually Silly Afu helped feed them. After catching the little rooster, he took a teacup and forced it to drink a cup of yachan liquid mixed with water. After drinking it, this guy was still not satisfied, clucking and pecking at the cup. He fed it another cup and then locked it in an unused room to avoid being confused with other chickens. After he was done, Cai Hongming no longer cared about them and went online. Oh. The morning light slowly opened the curtain, and it was another colorful morning, coming to the world with freshness. Cai Hongming was sleeping in the room with a quilt in his arms. When he heard the rooster crowing, he lazily reached out to take a look at his mobile phone. It was only 5 o'clock. He didn't want to get up so early, so he turned over and continued to sleep. Oh. Unexpectedly, just after falling asleep, he heard the cry of the little rooster that was locked in the room yesterday. He was furious. He was not going to let anyone sleep so early in the morning. He jumped out of bed and ran to the room where he locked the chicken yesterday. As soon as he opened the door, he saw the sick chicken walking around in the room, looking very proud. Cai Hongming angrily scolded. Your mother. Don't sleep. I will castrate you if you scream again. After that, he closed the door angrily and ran back to the room. If he hadn't had to wait and see the results of the experiment, he would have thrown the broken chicken out long ago. He went back to the room and took a nap until the sun was high in the sky. This time, I don't know if the little rooster was scared by him, but he didn't scream again. After brushing his teeth and washing his face, Cai Hongming ran to see the white scorpion. He found that the white scorpion had shed its shell. After molting, its body, which had lost moisture and was dry and wrinkled like tree bark, became smooth and looked much more energetic, but its body became smaller. It was originally about 8 centimeters, but after molting, it was only 6 centimeters. It seems that the jade toad liquid is somewhat useful, at least it has saved this half-dead white scorpion. After seeing the white scorpion, he ran to see the little rooster that woke him up early. The little rooster walked around in the room and pooped all over the floor, which was stinking. Fortunately, no one lived in this room, otherwise it would have been suffocated to death. Cai Hongming observed carefully, and he didn't know if it was an illusion. He found that the little rooster had changed a little compared to yesterday. He was full of energy and his feathers seemed to have become more beautiful. It seems that the jade toad liquid does work. However, he still didn't dare to take it immediately and planned to continue observing for a few days. So he took out the jade toad liquid diluted with water yesterday and continued to feed it. When he took out the jade toad liquid diluted with water, he found that there was a pungent smell in the cup, as if it was rotten. Is it broken? Cai Hongming poured water into the cup and put it in front of the little rooster to let it drink, but the little rooster actually avoided it with disgust. The same was true when he fed it to the white scorpion. As a last resort, he had to take a drop of jade toad liquid from the jade cauldron and mix it with water to feed them. The two guys couldn't wait to drink it. It seems that the jade toad liquid mixed with water overnight is useless. Cai Hongming touched his chin and thought. Chapter 7 Dragon Head. After feeding the rooster and scorpion, Cai Hongming went to eat. As expected, several old people had already finished eating. The third uncle had gone to herd sheep, the fifth uncle went to the fields, and the eighth uncle had nothing to do recently. He was lying on the rocking chair at the door and listening to the radio leisurely while Uncle Fu was sweeping the floor seriously with a broom. This is his daily homework. He is responsible for the sanitation of the doors of several households in the village, including raising chickens and ducks, and cooking. He is just a little stupid, otherwise he is a very diligent person. After dinner, Cai Hongming walked around the village and soon came to the farmland, where the fifth uncle was working. In fact, several old people in the village don't have to work at all now. They can get hundreds of yuan of pension money from the government every month, and there are also condolence money during festivals. There are also pocket money given by the younger generation. Their lives can be said to be worry-free. It's just that the old people are used to being busy, and they feel that something is wrong with their whole body when they are idle. Besides, the old people also have tempers. They feel that taking other people's money is like waiting for others to give them alms. They feel hurt and their self-esteem is challenged. So I did it myself. If I spent my own money, I would at least feel more confident and speak more forcefully. I could show my face to others instead of being scolded like a grandson when I spent my own money. Beigong was very famous in the area for eating feng shui for people. Every time, people would drive over to ask him to do it, and they would give him hundreds of red envelopes. His wealth was amazing. Wu Yi herded sheep and earned a lot of money every year. San Yi earned less from farming, but he also saved some money. Even silly Uncle Fu was not a simple man. He could sell at least tens of thousands of yuan for the poultry he raised every year. The most important thing was that they kept their money, unlike him who spent it recklessly. He worked hard all year round and only had a few cents left. In fact, he was a poor man. How sad. The wheat in the field was growing green and lush, and it looked like another good harvest. Walking through the wheat field and coming to the second defense line, I saw Wu Yi digging a hole in the field. This old man had a problem. When he saw good land, he wanted to plant things all over it. Recently, he planned to clean up the land and plant the sweet potatoes he brought from southern Fujian next year. As for whether he could sell them after planting, He never thought about it. Anyway, if he could sell them, he would sell them. If he couldn't sell them, he would eat them himself or feed them to Uncle Shafu's chickens. Anyway, they wouldn't be useless. The sweet potatoes that Cai Hongming asked someone to send from southern Fujian were a special variety, and they tasted very sweet. They were not available on the market at all. Eating that kind of sweet potato was almost like eating candy. It was sweet, and very sweet. If you boil it in water for a longer time, there will definitely be a layer of sticky syrup in the pot at the end. But that kind of sweetness is not the dead sweetness of white sugar, but the sweetness of plants, which is very delicious. Uncle Wu, what are you doing? Cai Hongming walked to Uncle Wu and asked. Dig a pit to store water. Uncle Wu replied without turning his head. Didn't I buy you a water pump? Won't that consume electricity? I dig a pit here, and a pit there, and dig a few pits to store snow water. It will be enough for next year. Do I need a water pump? Uncle Wu said. Cai Hongming smacked his lips, not knowing what to say. The old man was used to being poor, so everything was based on saving money. If he hadn't bought a rice harvester to help him harvest the rice when he was planting rice, he would probably have harvested all the rice on his own. The same thing happened with plowing the land, which he did slowly with his own hoe. Finally, he couldn't stand it anymore, so he bought a handheld tiller to help with the tilling. It was indeed much easier to work with modern machinery to help, and the old man's concept was slowly changing. Now he had learned how to use it, but sometimes he would make a fool of himself, which made people laugh bitterly. For example, now he had a water pump, but didn't use it, but he insisted on digging a water hole, which made people wonder what to say. Uncle Wu, don't bother with it. Just use the water pump when you want to water. Next year, I'll buy you an automatic watering hose. As long as you put the hose in the field, it will automatically spray water. You don't have to do it yourself. Just watch from the side. That doesn't cost money. No, Uncle Wu said, and continued to dig the hole. Cai Hongming had no choice but to go home and get a shovel to help dig. Otherwise he would have to dig from morning to night until all the water holes were dug. By then, his old bones would have to be useless. This piece of land used to be farmland. Although there was sand on the surface, it was fertile soil underneath, which was easy to dig. If they were quick, they could finish a hole in an hour. After digging for a while, Arthur also came to help with a shovel, and the few of them dug 3 holes quickly. In the end, he simply asked everyone to dig 1 each, so that they could work faster. After lunch and a break, the 3 of them continued to dig holes. Cai Hongming dug slowly, and it was not very tiring. After digging 2 meters, he suddenly heard a hum from below, as if he had dug something. Could it be an antique? When he thought of this, his mind suddenly came alive, and his eyes flashed. It is rumored that there are ancient tombs underground in Shaanxi, and there are treasures if you dig down casually, but this place is full of yellow sand, and there are no good things underneath. Could it be dead bones? Cai Hongming picked up the shovel and dug down carefully. After a few digs, 2 bones were exposed. He looked at them, and suddenly felt something was wrong. This was obviously not a human bone, but a deer antler, but not a deer antler. How could a deer antler be as thick as a calf? He dug further, and revealed a very large skull, about 3 meters long. No matter how he looked at it, it didn't look like a deer head, but a bit like the skull of a legendary dragon. Could it really be the legendary dragon? For a moment, Cai Hongming was overjoyed, and quickly took his mobile phone to take pictures. Then he wanted to continue digging to the side to see if there was a body. If there was a body, it would really be the legendary dragon, which would be big news. Suddenly, he saw something in the mouth of the dragon head. After a closer look, it turned out to be a lump of earth. He took the lump of earth out of the dragon's mouth and knocked it with a shovel. The soil on it fell off, revealing a rusty iron lump inside. The iron lump was rusty, and it was hard to tell what it was. He put the iron lump aside and planned to continue digging to see if there was a dragon body. At this moment, the ground suddenly shook violently. He staggered and almost fell. There was an earthquake. Cai Hongming didn't dare to stay in the pit anymore and hurriedly climbed out of the pit. When he got outside, he found that the sky was clear and cloudless. Wu Yi and silly Uncle Fu were still digging the pit. There was no earthquake. Cai Hongming felt strange, So he ran to ask Wu Yi, was there an earthquake just now? I didn't feel it. Wu Yi shook his head. He ran to ask Uncle Fu, was there an earthquake just now? No. That's strange. Could it be my illusion? Cai Hongming thought strangely and ran back to the pit he dug. Suddenly, he saw that the faucet in the pit was gone, leaving only a white powder on the ground. What happened? Cai Hongming was puzzled and he couldn't figure it out after thinking for a long time, so he had to give up. After digging the pit and returning home, Cai Hongming took out the iron lump he dug from the ground and washed it by the well. After washing it for a long time, I saw that the iron lump was still rusty, so I took it to the kitchen. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 8 Platinum Dragon Seal. Coming to the kitchen and turning on the gas stove, Cai Hongming put the iron lump on it to burn and then went out to fetch a bucket of water. When the iron lump was burned all over, he picked it up with tongs and put it in the water. With a hiss, white smoke immediately came out of the water and the water in the bucket instantly dried up. He hurriedly fetched another bucket to extinguish the heat on the iron lump. After the iron lump cooled down, he found a small hammer and tapped it gently. The rust on it slowly fell off with the hammer. He learned this trick when he was a child, when he watched stoners smelting iron and iron ores at home. At that time, he saw them put a piece of rusty iron into the furnace, wait until it was burned red, hammer it a few times, and put it in the water. The rust on the iron was gone immediately, which was very strange. I tried it today, and it worked well. The rust was removed, revealing a thumb-thick square object that looked like platinum. Looking closely, it looked like a seal. On the seal, a dragon raised its head and roared to the sky, its claws tightly grasping the four corners of the square seal, its sharp teeth and flying whiskers, majestic and solemn. Cai Hongming took the seal and looked at it and found that there were words engraved on the bottom, and it was seal script. He couldn't understand it, so he had to run to the house to print the characters on paper with ink and look it up on the internet. Although the unclear seal script is difficult to look up, Chinese characters have their own ancient heritage. Today's simplified characters are simplified from traditional characters, and traditional characters are evolved from Chinese characters from past dynasties. If you look carefully, you will find traces of the evolution of the characters. For example, the traditional Chinese characters for R, P, of course. This is a stupid method, but it is sometimes very useful. Cai Hongming checked left and right and read almost all the seal characters, and then he knew that the characters on the white gold dragon seal were called is an exclusive term for the emperor to issue an edict to confer titles, official positions, property, slaves, concubines and other titles on his ministers. In the Ming and Qing dynasties, when the emperor bestowed titles on civil and military officials and their predecessors' wives, the imperial edicts were divided into imperial edicts and imperial edicts. Imperial edicts above the 5th rank were called imperial edicts. Imperial edicts below the 6th rank were called imperial edicts. Zen is the place where water gathers in ancient times. The explanation is, a deep lake or a lake with a variety of aquatic plants and water under it is called a Zen. Some people say that a large lake is called a Zen. For example, today's Poang Lake is part of the former Pengli Zen, Dangting Lake is part of the Yunmeng Zen, and Tehe Lake is part of the Zens. It is just a part. Why is it a part? Because the water in the past was very large, but with the vicissitudes of life, the water level gradually dropped, so it became a lake today. The white gold dragon seal reads Imperial Seal to the Dragon King of Mings. I think it is the seal of the king of which dynasty to appoint the Dragon King. However, he has never heard of the place Mings and doesn't know where it is. It is not unreasonable to ask 100 degrees for external affairs and ask your wife for internal affairs. So Cai Hongming went online to check it out. After searching for a while, he found information about Mings. Hanshu Geography Dunhuan County Mingan County Records. Mingan, Nanjiduan water comes out of Nankiang, northwest into its Ze, irrigating people's fields. Lijifu's Yuan County map in the Tang Dynasty records that Mingshu flows into the Big Lake from the Tuayuhan border, 260 miles from east to west and 60 miles from north to south. It is rich in water and grass and suitable for animal husbandry. According to research by experts and scholars, the so-called Jidwan water is the Ming water, and the large lake it flows into is the Ming Lake. 260 li is 130 kilometers. Although the li in ancient times is not quite the same as it is now, it is not much different. The total area of Xiamen Island is only 132.5 square kilometers, while the Ming Lake is 130 kilometers, which shows how big it is. However, according to research by experts, the Ming Lake should be in the area of Hala Lake near Dunhuang today, so how come the platinum dragon seal is here? And is the dragon we just saw really a dragon? Is it like the legend, that it failed to pass the calamity, and was struck by lightning? Cai Hongming's mind was full of question marks, but no one could answer them. Suddenly, he remembered something. There are several places in the plaster recipes in his family that use dragon bones, but dragon bones are hard to find, so most of them are replaced by other bones. The dragon head just turned into powder, regardless of how it turned into powder, but the powder is real dragon bone powder. Thinking of this, he hurriedly took out buckets and bags from home, and ran to the puddle, where the dragon bone powder was. He worked until dark, and finally collected the dragon bone powder in the pit. At this time, he began to doubt the efficacy of these dragon bones. After all, this thing has been buried in the ground for many years, and it is normal for the efficacy to be lost. Moreover, it has turned into powder by itself, and I don't know if it can be used. It seems that I have to go back and test it. The next morning after breakfast, he went to the mountain to dig out the remaining sweet potatoes. Unexpectedly, he dug up another big sweet potato that was slightly smaller than the big pumpkin. After taking it down the mountain, several old people were surprised and said that they had never seen such a big sweet potato. After chatting with several old people for a while, he ran back to the house and took out the jade tripod to let it absorb and transform the essence of the bright moon. He took the platinum dragon seal he got from the pit and looked at it. The dragon seal is like platinum, but it lacks the brightness of platinum and looks dull. Question mark? Suddenly, he saw a round little bead in the dragon's mouth, so he stretched out his finger, intending to dig the bead out to see, but he accidentally got a cut by the sharp dragon's tooth, and he threw the platinum dragon seal out in pain. Blood flowed into the dragon's mouth along the dragon's tooth, instantly dyeing the dragon bead inside red. A tiny ray of light flashed from the dragon bead and quickly disappeared. Unlucky. Cai Hongming cursed inwardly, squeezed out a little blood, went to the house to take out the ancestral hemostatic and muscle growing ointment and applied it. The platinum dragon seal was thrown by him and fell into the jade tripod. At this time, a strange scene appeared. The seal slowly rose from the jade tripod and floated above the jade tripod. Above the night sky, the moon seemed to flash, and a bright moon essence that was stronger than before suddenly fell from the sky and projected over the platinum dragon seal, and was quickly absorbed by the dragon seal. Because the jade tripod was under the platinum dragon seal, it also benefited and absorbed a lot of bright moon essence. The essence of the bright moon instantly turned into jade toad liquid in the cauldron. 1 drop, 2 drops, 3 drops. The jade toad liquid condensed at a speed that could be seen by the naked eye. After a few hours, the jade toad liquid in the jade cauldron was full and overflowed. At this moment, a brilliant light suddenly shone from the jade cauldron, and the jade toad liquid inside disappeared. Cai Hongming saw everything, and curiously walked over to pick up the platinum dragon seal, but found that the platinum dragon seal returned to its original appearance as soon as it left the jade cauldron, and could no longer absorb the essence of the bright moon. However, he found that in just a short while, the originally dull platinum dragon seal actually had a little more moisture. Putting the platinum jade seal aside, Cai Hongming picked up the jade cauldron and found that the jade toad liquid inside had really disappeared. It was really strange. Where did the jade toad liquid go? He curiously touched the jade cauldron with his hand, but he didn't find any place to put things in it. Then, he brought the jade cauldron close to his eyes, wanting to take a closer look to see if there was any mechanism or secret button inside. Suddenly, his eyes suddenly went black, and he lost consciousness. Chapter 9, The Incomplete Paradise. When he woke up again, Cai Hongming found himself in a strange place. This place is about 10 meters in radius, surrounded by mist, with a 5 or 6 meter high stone in the middle. The stone is like a pillar, with a mottled surface and a dry color. On it are 4 vigorous characters Dangshan Fudi written in a flamboyant style. Is this broken place still a Dangshan Fudi? Cai Hongming curled his lips and thought with disdain. He walked over and touched the stone. It was cool. At this moment, a burst of light suddenly burst out from the stone, and then escaped into his brows at a speed beyond the reach of the naked eye. In a trance, Cai Hongming had a memory that he had never had before, which was everything about Dangshan Fudi. It turned out that this place really was a Dangshan Fudi before. According to records, there were Ganoderma lucidum and fairy grass everywhere, and flying cranes and deer walked in it. It can be said to be a fairyland. But later, due to unknown reasons, Dangshan Fudi could no longer absorb spiritual energy from the outside, causing everything inside to disappear with the loss of spiritual energy, and it became what it is now. If he had discovered it later, maybe even this piece of jade tripod cave heaven would have been gone, and in the end, he would only have gotten the jade tripod for viewing, not this piece of blessed land. According to the news from Dashi, if you want to restore the original appearance of the blessed land, you need sufficient spiritual energy. The spiritual liquid that the jade tripod absorbs the essence of the bright moon is a kind of spiritual energy. When the jade tripod is full of spiritual liquid, it will be automatically collected into this piece of blessed land, allowing the spiritual liquid to slowly nourish the already dilapidated blessed land. After knowing everything, Cai Hongming's face twitched slightly, and he had no confidence in the restoration of this blessed land. With the help of the platinum dragon seal, although the jade tripod can absorb the essence of the bright moon and transform it into more jade toad liquid, it can only transform a few tripods at most in one night. He thinks it will be difficult to restore this blessed land with this little jade toad liquid. Although it is impossible to restore the so-called blessed land, the space inside can be used to store things. Suddenly he thought, how can he get out? He won't stay in there for the rest of his life, right? As he thought about it, his eyes went dark again, and he was outside in an instant. This is good, as he can come and go at any time. Cai Hongming thought happily. At this time, he found that the jade tripod was gone. It was in his hand just now, but how could it disappear? As soon as he went in, he looked left and right but couldn't find it. He locked the door when he came in, and he was sure that no one would come in. So where did it go? Once he looked down inadvertently, he saw something on his chest, and hurried to the mirror, only to find that the jade tripod had turned into a pattern printed on his left chest. The pattern looked lifelike, as if the real jade tripod was attached to the chest, making it difficult to tell whether it was a tattoo or a real thing. By the way, can this jade tripod be taken out? Cai Hongming thought in his heart. Just a thought, the jade tripod appeared in his hand again, and another thought, and the jade tripod disappeared. He found it fun, and ordered the jade tripod to appear and disappear, and appear, and go in and out of the paradise in the jade tripod several times, until his head was buzzing, and he stopped. As a result, he still felt dizzy when he woke up the next morning. It seems that this thing can't be used too much. If used too much, there will be sequelae. He was supposed to go back to town today, but he felt so dizzy that he decided to go back in the afternoon. After eating, he fell back on the bed and slept until he woke up at noon. The platinum dragon seal he took out to play with yesterday was still on the table, so he found a rope and hung it around his neck. He stood in front of the mirror and looked at it. He felt that the rope was not good looking, so he went inside to find the silver chain that his mother had made for him before. There was a round silver plate on it. He tore it off and put it aside and hung the platinum dragon seal on it and wore it around his neck. He looked in the mirror and looked a little handsome. Because the dilapidated cave paradise in the jade tripod can be used to store things, Cai Hongming put all the sweet potatoes he dug in it to save the trouble of carrying them back and forth. He originally planned to go back in the morning yesterday, but he didn't expect that he would be delayed by the matter of the jade tripod and had to go back in the afternoon. After lunch, he went to the backyard of the third master's house and caught 5 sheep that he had specially left behind. Then he took the sweet potatoes he had dug yesterday and drove a modified four-wheeled motorcycle to his home in the town. Because the dilapidated cave paradise and the jade tripod can be used to store things, he put all the sweet potatoes he dug in to save the trouble of transporting them back and forth. But he had to take them out before going back to avoid being discovered. He also took the white scorpion and the little rooster used for the experiment back with him, intending to feed them with the jade toad liquid for a few more days to see how it goes. He also brought dragon bone powder with him, wanting to take it back to make a plaster to see if it is really effective. If it is effective, then he will be rich, because this is real dragon bone. The dog bone plaster he made at home only sells for a few yuan or more, but this dragon bone must sell for dozens or hundreds of yuan, otherwise it will be too much of a loss. Gilang town is actually the location of the Gilang County government. Because Cai Hongming's family moved here early, they occupied a large piece of land and built a yard. In front was a shop for treating injuries, in the back was a residence, and in the back was a garden of nearly 2 acres, where his mother raised chickens and grew vegetables. It took almost half a day to get from Kilian village to the town, so when he returned to Gilang, it was already dark. But that was good, because he didn't have to take out the sweet potatoes and put them directly at home without anyone seeing them. There was a small door in his backyard, so he drove directly to the backyard. After entering the backyard, parking the car, and driving the sheep into the sheepfold, he took the little rooster down and found a chicken coop to lock it up so that it wouldn't mix with the other chickens in the house. Then he took the glass bottle containing the white scorpion and quietly walked to the utility room at home. He had to be quiet. If his mother found out, it would be difficult to put the sweet potatoes in the dilapidated paradise and the jade tripod. Just after putting the sweet potatoes away, he heard footsteps, and then his mother appeared. "Why didn't you make a sound when you came back? I thought a thief had come in," Maluan Feng said to her son. "How could a thief dare to come into our house? He will be beaten to death by my dad." "How dare your dad beat anyone? He is as timid as a mouse. How did you bring back so many sweet potatoes? Won't the car be crushed?" "It's okay, Mom. Look at how big this sweet potato is." Cai Hongming showed off the sweet potato that was as big as a big pumpkin. "Oh, is this a sweet potato? It's not a pumpkin. How can a sweet potato grow so big? Don't lie to me. How dare I lie to you? There is another one here." As he said that, Cai Hongming put the super large sweet potato in his arms on the ground, turned around and picked up the slightly smaller sweet potato. When he turned around again, he found that his mother was gone. Strange, where did she go? Cai Hongming scratched his head, not knowing why. When he came to the front, he saw his mother talking to his father and a patient who came to treat his injuries, talking about how hard she worked to grow sweet potatoes, how to water and fertilize, everything as if she had experienced it personally, and he was amazed. His mother was just like that. She wanted the whole world to know about her son's affairs. If it wasn't dark, she would have walked around the town with a big sweet potato in her arms. Seeing that she was talking excitedly, he didn't want to get involved in this bad luck, lest she would turn around and scold him, so he left the house and walked towards the barbecue stand. Chapter 10, Becoming Handsome. Please click, recommend, and collect. The place where Cai Hongming sells barbecue is not far from his home. It is in front of an old house about 100 meters to the right. The old house is about 100 square meters, with 2 bedrooms and a living room. There is a yard in front, a well, and a kitchen on the left. It was originally where an old man lived. But after the old man passed away, his children thought the old house was shabby and no one lived there. Cai Hongming rented it to sell barbecue. Later, the business was good, and his mother secretly bought the house without telling him. At that time, the road in front of the old house had not been repaired. It was bumpy and there were not many people. The house was also shabby and worthless. Who knew that the situation would change in a blink of an eye? The next year, the government repaired the road, greened it, unified the store signs, and then listed this street as an old tourist street. Now not only is the road flat and clean, but there are also many more people, and there are even more crowds during holidays. The man who sold the house was so regretful when he heard the news. Her mother often talked about this, saying that she had a unique vision, and that the house she bought appreciated 100 times in a blink of an eye, which was more than the money his father earned in a year, by working hard for others. In fact, she was just worried about the rent money of the couple at that time, thinking that it would be better to buy a house than to rent it for a long time. When her son got married, the two old people could move there to live, so as to avoid quarrels with their daughter-in-law, after living together for a long time. Who would have thought that it would come to this today? It was almost 7 o'clock when Cai Hongming returned home, and the night market had already started. When he arrived at the barbecue stall, it was already full of customers. The fat boy Su Kansheng and Song Nao Yang Zhang, who he invited to help, were busy roasting mutton and delivering things. He hadn't eaten yet. He was so hungry that he didn't go to help. He made a bowl of noodles and ate it first. In addition to selling roasted mutton skewers and roasted lamb chops, his barbecue stall also sold mutton offal noodles and beggar chicken made from desert chickens. There was no other messy things like roasted lotus roots and leeks, because the mutton skewers he sells are all fresh mutton, and his barbecue skills are good. Many people come here every day, and his business is very good. Brother Bird is back. Xiaopang greeted him when he saw him. The girl next to him, Song Yang Zhang, called Hongming brother sweetly. Xiaopang is from the town and lives not far from his house. When he was a child, he often ran to his house to eat and drink. This guy didn't like studying since he was a child. He finally graduated from junior high school and didn't want to work in a factory, so he ran to his side to help. Although this guy doesn't like studying, he works very hard. After a year or two, he has learned the barbecue skills. Now he is basically in charge of the barbecue stall, and he just looks after the end. Of course, he still has to help when he is busy. Song Yangzang is from a remote Tibetan mountain village under the Kilian Mountains. Because her family is poor, she ran out to work before she finished junior high school. I don't know what connection she has with his family, but she actually got in touch with his mother, and then she came to his barbecue stall to help. Until now, he doesn't know what kind of relationship she has with their family. Cai Hongming nodded when he heard Xiaopang's greeting and asked, "How's business these days?" "Same as before, but better today. We sold 15 beggar chickens," Xiaopang said excitedly, while grilling mutton skewers. "So many?" Cai Hongming was surprised. He sells beggar chickens for 60 each, which is not much, but not a small amount. This is just a small county town, and not every day there are so many people willing to spend dozens of yuan to buy a chicken. So except for the days when he makes 20 beggar chickens, he only makes 10 at other times. I didn't expect to sell 15 today, which is pretty good. Today, Brother Feng ordered 3, and others ordered 2, so there are more. Xiaopang explained. "Hey, Brother Bird is back. I thought you were robbed. There was no news for so many days, and we almost wanted to organize a group to visit." Heyo Xiaobin, an acquaintance who was drinking at a table next to him, saw Cai Hongming and teased him. Hearing this address, Cai Hongming smacked his lips speechlessly. When he first came here, he was small, and the adults called him Xiaoke. When he grew up, some frivolous boys called him Laoke, and some respectfully called him Brother K. Later, because there was a Hong in his name, Hong means flying goose, which is a bird, so some people started to call him Brother Bird. Recently, a guy was called Brother Little Bird, so he was upgraded and was called Brother Big Bird. Every time he heard these names, he had the urge to jump into the sea, but sometimes he thought in his heart that it was just a name, and he would just bear it. Besides, Big Bird is not a derogatory word. I believe many men like others to say that about them. Who is so blind to rob me? Don't you know my ancestral Wing Chun white crane fist? Come 1, I will beat 1. Come 2, I will beat a pair. Cai Hongming proudly held the chopsticks and gestured. Heyo Xiaobin saw this and immediately fell silent. Cai Hongming was not saying this casually. When he was in school, there were ignorant boys who had troubled him. He beat them back and injured them all. The more serious ones had pain all over their bodies for 10 days or half a month, and no matter how they were treated, they could not be cured. Brother Big Bird, I haven't seen you for a few days. You look much more handsome. A young man with a huge gold medal next to him said jokingly. This is the brother Feng mentioned by the little fat man. After hearing this, Cai Hongming deliberately adjusted his clothes and looked up and said, "Of course, I didn't expect you to be able to see my extraordinary temperament of being wise, mighty, suave, elegant, graceful, gentle, and unparalleled in the world. This proves that you have a good eye. Brother Big Bird, I'm talking about the necklace on your neck." After saying this, he laughed evilly. The people around him laughed loudly. The little fat man was also laughing heartlessly over there, and even Song Yangzong had a smile on his face. Cai Hongming was speechless. What kind of person is this? Does he know the art of speaking? Does he want people to talk happily? He couldn't help but shout angrily, "Get lost." The two knew each other very well, and Feng Jie didn't care and continued to drink. This guy spends almost all of his monthly salary on food and drink. "Hongming, give me some lamb skewers." At this time, his neighbor Li Dashu, who lived a few rows behind his house, came over to buy lamb skewers. "Okay, Uncle Li, sit next to you for a while, it will be ready soon." "No, I can just stand." "I said you should also teach me how to grow sweet potatoes." "How to grow such a big guy, I can hardly hold it up." "There is no technology, just fertilize and water frequently." "I didn't expect it to grow so big." Cai Hongming lied, he would never tell the truth to anyone. Heo Xiaobin, who was drinking nearby, heard this and asked curiously, "Are the heads of the sweet potatoes that big?" "Last time I went to the city, I saw an old man selling sweet potatoes. Wow, each one had a head this big. I don't know if he can sell them." They were all from the town, and Li Dashu also knew Heo Xiaobin. He could be said to have watched him grow up. Hearing what he said, he glanced at him and taught him a lesson. Young people just don't know how high the sky is and how deep the earth is. You think a big head means it's big. You should know that the sweet potato planted by Hongming is as big as an armful, with a diameter of nearly 1 meter. I weighed it just now. Wow, it's a full 250 kilograms, and even the small one next to it is 235 kilograms. Is it true? Why would I lie to you? When Heo Xiaobin heard this, his curiosity was immediately aroused. He stopped drinking, stood up and ran to Cai Hongming's house, wanting to see how big the sweet potato was. Feng Jie and his friends who were eating nearby also ran over to see the wonder. PS. It will be posted in the morning during the National Day, and in the afternoon after the National Day. 2 chapters will be updated every day. Starting from next week, 1 chapter will be added on Sunday. Thank you all for your support. Chapter 11, Feeding the Big One. Fatty likes to join in the fun. When he heard that the sweet potato was so big, he was eager to go and see it. However, he was grilling something with his hands, so he didn't dare to go over and could only look at Cai Hongming. Cai Hongming had just finished his noodles. Seeing him like this, he glared at him and said, "Go and see if you want to." "I didn't stop you." Fatty got the order and ran away immediately. After a while, Cai Hongming saw a group of them running back, holding his big pumpkin-sized sweet potato in their hands. Brother Feng walked to the barbecue stall, put the big sweet potato on an empty table next to him, wiped the sweat from his forehead, and said breathlessly, "I think this thing is more than 250 kilograms, at least 400 kilograms. Otherwise how could it be so heavy? I'm exhausted." "You kid, why did you bring the sweet potato here? Did my mother agree?" Cai Hongming asked. If he took things without his mother's permission, these guys would be in trouble later. Brother Feng told Auntie that many people here want to see the big sweet potato, so Auntie let him bring it over. Xiaopang whispered beside him. These guys, they even lied for a big sweet potato. He really didn't know what to say. "Brother Big Bird, what kind of feed did you feed your sweet potato? How did it grow so big? It's no different from a pumpkin." Brother Feng shouted. "I think it was sprayed with hormones." Someone next to him said. "I don't think so. It can't be so big, even if it's sprayed with hormones." Someone said experiencedly. "It should be that the land where the sweet potatoes are planted is good. Otherwise how could each of his sweet potatoes be so big?" Someone else said. "I feel that the land where the sweet potatoes are planted should not be ordinary land, but a place with unique spiritual charm. The sweet potatoes have grown so big because they have absorbed the aura there. Everyone looked at him with contempt, thinking that he had read too many novels. They didn't know that, although his statement was not right, it was not far off. Would Cai Hongming say that it was actually because he accidentally poured the jade toad liquid and it was absorbed by the sweet potato? Obviously not. Hearing what they said, he just said, no hormones were sprayed, but there was enough fertilizer. I used countless manures on that piece of land and dug black soil from the mountains to bury it, so it grew so big. I guess there was a bit of luck involved. What do you think this big sweet potato tastes like? Feng Jie licked his lips and said, what else can it taste like? It tastes like sweet potato. Do you think we will grow bigger after eating this sweet potato? Everyone turned around and saw that it was the guy who just talked about spiritual energy. It seemed that this kid was poisoned by novels. It would be great if I could turn a small penis into a big penis, Feng Jie said slyly. Several men next to him felt the same way and laughed evilly. Song Na, who came over to watch the fun, blushed and said, "Pa," turned around and went to work, and by the way, pulled the fat boy who was still listening with interest away. Okay, take it back after you finish reading it, otherwise my mother will probably come to settle accounts with you. Before Cai Hongming finished speaking, he saw his mother coming from home, and Feng Jie and his group of people scattered like birds and beasts. Everyone in the town knew that his mother was a virtuous woman, but she would never stop scolding people for an hour. When Cai Hongming first came, the children in the town always liked to bully him, but Cai Hongming was a man who had practiced martial arts since he was a child. He would not be beaten so easily, but beat them to a pulp. Before the matter was over, his mother took him to complain from house to house after she found out those families who beat up other children were unlucky. Not only did their children get beaten, but they were also scolded by their mother like grandchildren. It was really cowardly. Black-faced Feng, have you finished reading it? I'll take it away after you finish reading it, Maluan Feng asked Feng Jie as soon as she arrived. Hearing her address to Feng Jie, his group of pig friends burst into laughter. Feng Jie smiled bitterly and said, I finished reading it, auntie. I'll take it over later. No need to trouble you. I'll do it myself, Maluan Feng said decisively. She was worried about these young people. What if they dropped the sweet potatoes? Maluan Feng picked up the big sweet potato and walked away. After walking a few steps, she suddenly remembered something and turned to her son and said, Hongming, go home early in the evening. I have something to do tomorrow morning. Got it? Cai Hongming nodded in response. Maluan Feng is a big and strong woman in the northwest, and she is very strong. When her family raised pigs in the past, she could lift a pig weighing 300 or 400 kilograms by herself. Unfortunately, we don't raise pigs now, so we can't see her great strength anymore. After she walked away, Feng Jie said to Cai Hongming helplessly, Brother Big Bird, can you ask your mother not to call me black-faced wind anymore? It's ugly, okay? Cai Hongming heard this and laughed happily. This guy's real name is Ziwi Feng. When he was a child, he liked to run around, especially in the hot sun at noon. As a result, his whole face was tanned like charcoal, so the people in the town gave him the nickname Black-Faced Wind. Now that he has grown up, many adults have changed their names, and only some people still call him Black-Faced Wind. His mother didn't remember his name, but she remembered this nickname very clearly, so she always called him Black-Faced Wind. Sometimes a person's nickname is much easier to remember than his real name, because the nickname is based on the image. When people hear this nickname, they will immediately remember who this person is, but no one may know the real name. I'll talk to her when I have time, Cai Hongming said. But seeing his attitude, it seems that he is more perfunctory, and Ziwi Feng doesn't have much hope. Forget it. After being called that for so many years, he is not afraid of being called that again. Sometimes it sounds quite friendly. Life is like this. Since it cannot be changed, you have to learn to bear it. People are very nervous. If it is not Sunday or a holiday, the night market will usually disperse at 10 o'clock. When it was almost 10 o'clock, seeing that there were not many people, Cai Hongming asked Xiaopang and Sangna to start cleaning up, and he took the money to count. His barbecue stall business is good, and he can sell almost a sheep a day. At most, he can sell 10,000 or more a day. Although so much, he has been penniless in the past few years. The main reason was that he liked to spend money recklessly. Not to mention planting trees in Kilian village and buying tillers and water pumps. The four-wheeled motorcycle he modified cost more than 100,000 yuan or nearly 200,000 yuan, which was equivalent to the price of a car. However, he did not dare to tell his family about this. If he did, he would probably be beaten to death. His four-wheeled motorcycle was really awesome. It was wrapped in a thick steel shell, powered by a V12 cylinder, with enlarged wheels, air conditioning, music, and airbags. It was extremely comfortable. If you don't look carefully, people would think it was a car, but the speed was many times faster than that of an ordinary car. After packing up his things, the fat man went home, and Sangna lived with him at home. In fact, the old house, where things were stored, could also be lived in, but someone had died in it, and it felt gloomy and weird to live in. No one dared to live in it. Besides, the fat man's house was nearby, not a few steps away. As for Sangna, his mother was afraid that she would be unsafe as a girl outside, so she insisted that she live at home. After returning home, Cai Hongming mixed some water with jade toad liquid to feed the little rooster and the white scorpion, and then placed the jade tripod and platinum dragon seal in front of the window to let them absorb the essence of the bright moon. The window curtains were drawn, and there was a hole in the curtains to let the moonlight fall. He was afraid that people outside would see the strangeness of the jade tripod and the platinum dragon seal. After finishing, he went to the bookshelf in the study to get a family medical book, intending to compare what he remembered with what was written in the book and find a paste recipe suitable for using dragon bone powder. Finally, he found a simple paste recipe for treating sores. After flipping through the book, he went online and went to bed. The next day, he got up to look at the white scorpion and found that the scorpion had shed its shell again. After the shed shell, the white scorpion became shiny and its body became smaller, about 5 centimeters. While looking at the scorpion, Cai Hongming heard his mother calling outside, and he quickly put away the jade tripod and platinum dragon seal on the table. His mother is a big mouth and spreads everything in the family. She might tell others about his jade tripod and platinum dragon seal, so he should be careful. Chapter 12. Being beaten on a blind date. Change the setting of the big sweet potato. The big one is 250 kilograms, the small one is 235 kilograms, and more than 100 kilograms is too common. When Cai Hongming opened the door, he saw his mother standing at the door with a set of clothes. "What are you doing? Why did you take so long to open the door?" Luan Feng said to her son dissatisfiedly. "Mom, it's still early. Why are you calling me so early in the morning? It's still early. The sun is shining on my butt." Luan Feng glared at her son and said, "If it was farming in the past, people would have done a crop of work. You young people now eat and sleep all day long, sleep and eat and sleep again, do nothing, and complain about everything, blame you and me, take a bath afraid of heat, drink water afraid of cold, and pick and choose a wife. Don't you see what kind of ugly melons and crack dates you are? You think you are a handsome guy and a pretty boy. Is this still his real mother? Who said this to his son? Besides, weren't we just talking about the sun shining on our butts? How come you said you got married in the blink of an eye? This doesn't make people have a pleasant chat." Cai Hongming was really speechless to his mother. Luan Feng didn't care what her son thought. She pulled him to the mirror, stuffed the clothes in her hand on him, and ordered him in an irresistible tone, "Go change your clothes." Cai Hongming took it and looked at it. "Oh, it's a famous brand. This set costs at least 800. When did she become so generous? Mom, why did you buy such expensive clothes?" Cai Hongming said while putting on his clothes, and suddenly thought, my mother wouldn't ask him to go on a blind date again. He said he didn't want to get married yet. Why is she so active? Alas, I don't know what these old people think, as if he can't live without a wife. He doesn't know how free he is alone. Why should there be another woman around to worry about him? Little did he know that his mother wanted to find a woman to tie him up because he was too free, so that he wouldn't be like a cock in heat all day, running out and forgetting to go back to the nest. After getting dressed, Luan Feng looked around and felt satisfied, so she told him the address of the blind date and asked him to go there by himself. "Mom, what's the name of that person?" Do you have a phone number? Questions is fine too. Cai Hongming asked. He didn't know the name or number of the blind date. If he just gave an address and couldn't find the person, who would he go to for the blind date? You don't need to know so much. She knows you. She will greet you when you go. After saying that, Luan Feng seemed a little worried, so she ordered again. I tell you, you must behave well this time. Talk to the girl gently, know how to care about her, smile, pick up food for her when eating, and pour water for her. This girl is not bad. I like her. Don't make trouble for me. This old man also taught the secret of picking up girls. He didn't want to marry, otherwise there are girls to marry. He also liked her. What's the use of liking her? It's not her who is marrying the wife, it's him. Okay. At the urging of his mother, Cai Hongming hurriedly finished his breakfast and took a car to the city. This time the blind date was in a coffee shop, unlike before when he was taken directly to someone's home. This is more reasonable. The two people communicate by themselves, get along with each other, if they are compatible, and go their separate ways. If they are not compatible, there is no need to go to someone's home and look at each other awkwardly. Liangzhou is located in the central part of Gansu, at the eastern end of the Hexi corridor. It is adjacent to the provincial capital Lanzhou in the east, Jinchang in the west, Kilian Mountains in the south, and Tengja Desert in the north. It is located at the throat of the Eurasian Continental Bridge. It has a long history and was once a famous Silk Road hub. It was one of the 4 Hexi counties established by the Han Dynasty. It was the capital of the 5 Liangs during the Eastern Jin Dynasty, and someone even established the Great Liang Kingdom here during the Sui Dynasty. Maybe some people don't know Liangzhou, but as long as you mention the most famous thing about Liangzhou, there must be many people who know it. The first is horse stepping on flying swallow, which was unearthed in Liangzhou. The second is 2 famous poems. One is Wang Zihuan's The Yellow River flows far away between white clouds, and there is a lonely city in 10,000 feet of mountains. Why should the Kyang flute blame the willows? The spring breeze does not pass through human pass. The other is Wang Han's grape wine in the luminous cup. The piper urges me to drink. Don't laugh at me sleeping drunk on the battlefield. How many people have ever returned from the battles in ancient times? These 2 Liangzhou poems are really unknown. It only takes about an hour to drive from Ginong to Liangzhou, and you can get there in a blink of an eye. When he arrived in Liangzhou, Cai Hongming looked at the road and walked towards the agreed coffee shop. It was not the time to get off work, and there were few customers in the coffee shop. There were soothing French songs playing in the hall, which made people relax. It is a wonderful thing to drink coffee and spend a long afternoon in such a place. Cai Hongming looked forward and saw a woman sitting alone by the floor-to-ceiling window by the road. The woman was tall, beautiful and dignified. She showed an elegant and calm temperament in her every move. As if she felt that Cai Hongming was looking at her, she nodded and smiled at him. Cai Hongming raised his eyebrows and thought to himself, could it be that the blind date that his mother was talking about was her? When did her standards become so high? In the past, when she took him to blind dates, he saw a bunch of ugly and miserable candidates. The worst time was when he went to a butcher's house. I don't know if the butcher's daughter was raised as a pig by her father, who was also a butcher. She was as fat as a pig, with fat hands, feet and head. Anyway, there was no place that was not fat. When he saw her charming smile at him, he felt his stomach churning, and his stomach was surging. He almost vomited. Although he didn't like it, he still had to swallow his tears and pretend to be happy when he left. He smiled and said, I'm leaving to the girl, and he just missed saying see you later. I don't know if my mother judges others by herself. Do other people like what she likes? It was only his father who had a strange taste and liked his mother's figure. Of course, he liked plump girls, but he hoped that the plumpness was not in the waist, buttocks, hands and thighs, but on the top. Cai Hongming had nothing to say about his mother's taste and outlook on life. There was nothing more sad than a dead heart, so he let her do whatever she wanted, and he would do whatever he wanted. But he never expected that she would find such a woman with temperament, elegance, and calmness today. What should he do? He didn't want to get married yet. But since he was here, he had to meet her, and he couldn't just slip away. So he tidied his clothes and walked over. When he got closer, he suddenly saw a woman sitting at the table next to the elegant woman, raising her eyebrows and looking at her, and he didn't know what she wanted to do. Looking closely, wasn't this the tough woman he met on the desert highway? She even threw stones at him. Who would care about such a woman? Cai Hongming ignored her and walked towards the elegant woman by the French window. The tough girl was so angry that she was almost crazy. "Sorry to have kept you waiting," Cai Hongming said softly to the elegant woman. "It's okay, I just got here too," the woman said gently. The soft voice softened people's hearts and made Cai Hongming's eyes light up. He liked women who spoke gently and had a slim figure. The elegant woman in front of him undoubtedly met these 2 points. But he didn't want to get married so early. Was he going to break his vow? For a moment, Cai Hongming was embarrassed. It was almost noon, and the porridge he had eaten in the morning had been digested, and he was a little hungry. He didn't think about those messy things for the time being, and turned to the elegant woman and said, "Let's order something to eat first." "Okay." The woman nodded. So Cai Hongming ordered the dishes. The two chatted while eating, talking, and laughing. The sturdy girl at the table on the side was furious. The spoon in her hand stirred the coffee from slow to fast, from light to vertical, as if she was using the spoon as a dagger, stabbing it into the coffee one by one. However, Cai Hongming didn't see these, but just talked to the elegant woman. He has been in the Northwest for many years, and has a deep understanding of the history and customs here. He quotes classics from time to time, and tells jokes humorously, which makes the elegant woman very happy. Finally, the tough girl couldn't bear it anymore, picked up the coffee, and drank it all, walked to Cai Hongming and shouted, "Cai Hongming. How do you know my name?" Cai Hongming asked in surprise when he heard the tough girl calling him. "When did he become so famous? Don't you remember me? I'm the girl who sat in front of you, and was often bullied by you in junior high school," the tough girl said with gritted teeth. Cai Hongming listened to her words, thought about it carefully, and suddenly looked up and screamed, "You are a fat woman. I fatten your mother." The tough girl, who had been holding back for a long time, finally couldn't hold back anymore when she heard his words. At this moment, she burst out and punched Cai Hongming in the face. Cai Hongming was unprepared and was punched in the right eye by her. In an instant, the whole eye was black. After beating him, the tough girl never looked at Cai Hongming again, turned around and walked away quickly. Chapter 13, Preparing Plasters, Part 1. Only you. Why was I beaten? Only you. Why am I so unlucky? Only you. Why no one comes to protect me? The classic song Only You from a Chinese Odyssey rang in Cai Hongming's mind, and the sad tune reflected his inner misery and helplessness. He rubbed his eyes that were hurt by the beating. He didn't know what the woman was crazy about. She just said a fat woman, so why did she hit someone? Question mark? Sort. Meng Dan Huan Yu. P. She knows him. Could she be his blind date? Who is this woman in front of him? Cai Hongming looked up at the elegant woman, confused, and was about to ask clearly. At this time, a middle-aged man came from outside. He looked around and didn't find the person he was looking for, so he took out his mobile phone and dialed it. Then the elegant woman's mobile phone rang. The man heard it and hurried over, saying, "I'm sorry, I was delayed by something at home this morning. I kept you waiting for a long time." Needless to say, he recognized the wrong person. The elegant woman looked at Cai Hongming with a strange expression. Cai Hongming knew she was laughing. For a moment, he felt so ashamed that he could not control himself. He wished there was a hole underneath so that he could crawl into it. He immediately ran out in a panic. He did not expect that when he ran to the door, he was stopped by the waiter to pay the bill. It was really tragic. Walking silently on the street, the air was filled with a bleak atmosphere, like the coldness of winter and the frost of snowy season. Although he was far away from the coffee shop, Cai Hongming was still ashamed when he thought of his experience just now. He really wanted to shout, "Why? Why?" He was beaten for a date. Is there any justice, humanity, or law? After walking for a while, he sat decadently on the wooden chair waiting for the bus on the side of the road, thinking about how to explain to his mother when he got back. Could it be that he was beaten on a blind date? How embarrassing. What if he was asked how they got along? What else can he do? Very passionate. If he was not passionate, after being beaten like this, what is passionate? After sitting for a while, he felt that today was really long. Why didn't the bus come for so long? He turned around and looked around, only to find that there was a woman with a child sitting next to him. The little girl was very restless in her mother's arms, moving around restlessly like a puppy. When she saw him looking over, she hugged her mother's neck and looked over. The little girl was quite cute. So Cai Hongming winked at her and kissed her. The little girl also imitated his winking, but finally couldn't keep up with his speed and got angry, pouting and turned away. After a while, she turned around again with curiosity, and Cai Hongming immediately bared his teeth, ready to bite her like a tiger. Unexpectedly, the little girl was not afraid, but punched him, hitting his injured right eye. Cai Hongming was in so much pain that tears almost came out. These were not tears in his eyes, but tears of sadness. The coffee shop was beaten. The platform was beaten. Is there any peaceful place in the world to accommodate the weak like them? What hurt him the most was that he had to pay for coffee and steak after being beaten. If he had known, he would have just drunk milk tea outside, and so many things wouldn't have happened. Through this incident, he found that blind dates are actually a pit. He decided that if there is another blind date like this in the future, he would drink milk tea. Milk tea might not be suitable, and it would be a bit of a loss. Think about it. If the two people are interested in each other, it's fine. If not, wouldn't it be a waste of money for milk tea? It's better to buy a bottle of mineral water and then walk on the road, so that even if the blind date is unsuccessful, you won't be sad and lose money. Sometimes when thinking about it, Cai Hongming feels that he is really talented. Why did you hit me? Cai Hongming asked the little girl resentfully. The little girl's mother was looking to see if the bus was coming and didn't notice her daughter. When she heard the voice, she turned her head and saw Cai Hongming's black right eye. She was shocked and hurriedly taught her daughter, yeah, how can a girl hit someone? Why don't you apologize to your uncle? I don't want to. The little girl pouted her determined face and shook her head. Mommy, he wanted to bite me just now. Why should I bite you? Cai Hongming rubbed his eyes. It's really a self-inflicted disaster. If I hadn't teased this little guy just now, there wouldn't be so many troubles. You just want to bite me, Mom. He just showed his teeth. Xiaobei did the same. Ye said to her mother. Who is Xiaobei? Cai Hongming asked curiously. Her mother smiled awkwardly and said, that's a puppy she raised. It bit her a few days ago, so there are some sequelae. I'm really sorry. We are in the same boat. Cai Hongming sighed. When he graduated from junior high school and went out to work, he had no money on him. He went to the bank to withdraw the only 100 yuan left in his card. Unexpectedly, he got a asterisk. When he took it to buy something, the person recognized that it was fake and refused to accept it, but he didn't know it was fake and insisted on buying it. In the end, the person refused to sell him anything. Later, he took a closer look and found out that it was fake. Although nothing happened, the experience had left a trauma in his heart. Whenever there was only 100 yuan left in his pocket, he would worry whether the money was fake. Sat. Forget it. I won't bother with this little brat. At this time, the car came. Cai Hongming got on the car, and Ye still stared at him with round eyes to see him off. When he got home, he didn't dare to go out the front door, but went in from the backyard, then hid in his room, and rubbed his black eyes with medicinal wine. It took a long time to rub the bruises away. He looked in front of the mirror, and found that there was only a red circle left, which was not as conspicuous as the bruises. He was relieved, otherwise he would be laughed at when he went to sell things at night. In the morning, because his mother urged him, he didn't have time to feed the scorpion and the rooster, so he fed it with a drop of water mixed with yuchan liquid, and then fed it some food. He found that, after drinking the water mixed with yuchan liquid, the little rooster's appetite increased significantly, and its body grew rapidly. The little rooster was only more than 1 pound originally, but now it is almost 2 pounds, and its feathers look more colorful, and the comb on its head has become larger. Although the white scorpion has become smaller after molting again, it looks more powerful, and it feels like a quantitative change has turned into a qualitative change. The body of the molted white scorpion has a crystal texture, and the color slowly changes from white to transparent crystal color. Cai Hongming didn't know why this happened, and he felt very strange. Perhaps because they had been fed for a long time, and regarded him as their master, the white scorpion and the little rooster became very obedient. For example, now, when he caught the scorpion, it did not resist at all, but looked at it curiously with its eyes, just like a puppy. Yes, Cai Hongming saw from its eyes the feeling of a puppy wagging its tail and begging for love. After playing with the scorpion for a while, he walked to the warehouse, where the medicinal materials were kept, intending to take a few herbs to boil dragon bone ointment to see if the dragon bone powder he picked up had any effect. Many people say that there are fewer natural medicinal materials now. In fact, there are several reasons for the reduction of natural medicinal materials. First, the large population and large amount of medicine used. The growth rate of medicinal materials cannot keep up with the speed of use. Second, the land is constantly being developed and utilized, and the place where medicinal materials grow is destroyed. Coupled with the weather, there are fewer and fewer natural medicinal materials. Although natural medicinal materials are becoming less and less and the prices are rising, Cai Hongming's family still insists on using natural wild medicinal materials, which can ensure the efficacy of the boiled ointment. The preparation of dragon bone healing ointment requires dragon bone, sea cucumber, galnet, red ochre, dragon's blood and musk, but natural musk is hard to find now, so people who prepare medicine often use artificial musk and other animal fragrances instead. His family still has a little natural musk, but this dragon bone healing ointment does not need such high quality things. Artificial musk will do. After taking the herbs, grinding them into powder, and taking some sesame oil, Cai Hongming took a small red clay stove and a clay pot to the backyard to boil the dragon bone healing ointment. Chapter 14. Making plasters, Part 2. Dragon bone ointment for sores is not a high-end ointment, so it is not complicated to make. All you need to do is grind all the herbs into powder and add sesame oil to slowly boil them together. Unlike some ointments, the herbs need to go through many complicated procedures such as processing and soaking. There were not many patients in the afternoon, so Cai Xianfu sat at the tea table to make tea and watch TV. He is from southern Fujian and generally has no interest in Mandarin TV programs. He only watches TV series in Taiwan that speak southern Fujian. As he was watching, he smelled a familiar smell of ointment coming from behind. Needless to say, it must be his son making ointments again. His son is very obsessed with making ointments and likes to make them for fun when he has nothing to do. It was like this when he was a child, and it is still the same now. As a result, he has developed a good skill in making ointments. Now his level of making ointments is better than his master. He can't compare to him. Despite this, he is not lonely or annoyed at all, and his face is just a satisfied smile with successes. Patience is required to make ointments. The fire should not be too big or too small. You should hold something in your hand to stir the plaster and oil in the pot constantly so that the powder can be evenly blended and not burnt. Cai Hongming may not have patience for other things, but he has a rare good mood for making plasters. When he was a child, he watched his grandfather and second uncle making plasters in the room, and he watched curiously. Later, he made a small clay stove by himself, picked up an empty can left by someone's canned food, and picked up some bark, grass clippings, and soil from the woods, and put them in the pot to make plasters. Of course, there is no need to talk about the efficacy of the medicine. When he grew up, he became more and more obsessed with the plasters in his family's medical books, and gradually learned how to make plasters and bone correction massage. As Cai Hongming's hand-holding chopsticks kept stirring, the plaster in the earthenware jar became more and more viscous. After a while, Cai Hongming picked up the chopsticks, and a drop of ointment slid off the chopsticks like a drop of water. Seeing that it was almost done, he took the earthenware jar off the stove and let it cool, and then put it on the plaster cloth little by little according to the amount. This time he wanted to try out the efficacy of dragon bone powder, so he made very few plasters, no more than 20. After everything was done, he took the freshly made dragon bone ointment to the lobby in front, where people were given bone correction and massage. His mother was not there, and his father was watching TV. There was a huge sweet potato next to the medicine cabinet. Needless to say, it must be his mother showing off to everyone. He grew such a big sweet potato, enough for her to brag to others for a long time. Dad, where is my mother? I don't know, she went out with a bunch of sweet potatoes. Needless to say, she must have shown off the big sweet potatoes he grew in the name of giving them away. If she didn't tell everyone she knew, or didn't know about this, she would get sick. Cai Hongming walked to the medicine cabinet and sat down, intending to see if anyone came to buy plasters, so that he could promote his newly made dragon bone ointment. After sitting for a while, he felt bored, so he looked out. There was a bleak north wind outside. The weather was getting colder. If it was cold, he couldn't do his barbecue business anymore, so he had to close the stall. Every year when the weather gets cold, he will stop the barbecue stall and wait until the weather warms up in the spring of the following year before continuing to sell. He will then go back to his hometown in southern Fuji and to stay for a while. One reason is to avoid the cold of this winter, and the other is to avoid the sandstorms of the next spring. In this place, sandstorms will blow in the spring, when it is dry and rainless. At that time, the sky is full of wind and sand like fog, just like the haze in Kyoto, so hazy that people can't see their figures. This is not the main problem. The main thing is that the sand and dust in this weather makes people feel like they are about to suffocate, so every time at this time he will hide back to his hometown, and people call him a migrant bird. Cai Hongming was sitting at the counter thinking about things boredly. A burly young man with a fat belly came outside. He was the owner of a shop not far away. He was the kind of person who sat and counted money. Brothers in, what's wrong? Do you have hemorrhoids again? I told you a long time ago that you should exercise more. If you don't exercise, you will still grow them after you are cured. Seeing the person coming, Cai Hongming immediately became enthusiastic, because this was a good subject to test the dragon bone sore ointment. Who doesn't exercise? I exercise every night. Brothers said arrogantly. Exercise down there, fatty. Cai Hongming said with disdain. Looking at his body shape, he couldn't last too long. Probably just a few seconds. Cai Shianfu next to him couldn't stand the conversation between the two and warned them. Brothers quickly changed the subject. Give me a plaster for hemorrhoids. Can you give me a plaster that won't give me hemorrhoids? It doesn't matter how much it costs. It's useless, fatty. You sit at home all day without exercising, and you'll get hemorrhoids sooner or later. Cai Hongming said, turning around to get the medicine. His family's ancestral plaster is really amazing, and it works as soon as it's applied. Just as he was about to take the ointment for treating hemorrhoids, he suddenly remembered that he wanted to sell him the newly made dragon bone ointment for treating hemorrhoids. So he took out the newly made ointment, turned around and said to Brothers in, let me recommend you a newly made ointment, the dragon bone ointment for treating hemorrhoids. It's very effective. Dragon bones, dog bones, right? Brothers said disdainfully, if we had dragon bones here, they would have been dug out by those officials to build a museum and collect admission fees. How could it be your turn to use them to make ointments? Fat brother, it's really a dragon bone. I'm not lying to you. Are you going to tell me that you have seen a dragon and then it suddenly disappeared? Hey, how do you know? It's written like this in novels. I read about it in a storybook called Shan Heijing when I was in school. The story said that a farmer saw a dragon injured and falling from the sky. He was afraid that the dragon would be exposed to the sun, so he covered it with hay. But suddenly there was a rainstorm, lightning and thunder, and the dragon quickly soared into the sky and disappeared. Does this story sound like what you said? Brothers teased. It is a bit similar, but fatty, this is a real dragon bone. Cai Hongming said seriously, okay, give it to me. I don't care if it's a dragon bone or a dog bone. As long as it works, it's fine. Brothers took the plaster from Cai Hongming and asked worriedly, is your plaster really useful? Cai Hongming patted his chest and said, it is guaranteed to be effective. It will take effect in 3 days. If it doesn't work, I will double the compensation. Come on. How much? You can try this for free and then pay if it works. Okay, then I'm leaving. Goodbye. Brothers turned and walked out of the pharmacy. When he reached the door, he suddenly remembered something. He turned back and said to Cai Hongming, "Why don't you call the newspaper or website after you planted such a big sweet potato? Maybe you can promote your clinic and get a reporting fee. I think you can also apply for the Guinness World Record or something. I think your sweet potato is the largest in the world." Brothers in left. After he finished speaking, Cai Hongming's eyes flashed with a gleam of light when he heard this. Why didn't he think of this? As soon as Brothers in left, he ran to the newsstand and bought a copy of all the newspapers of the day, then copied down the phone numbers of major websites, and then dialed them one by one, and applied for the Guinness World Record. After making all the calls, he sat on the chair and grinned. This is rich. Those reporters come. The interview fee is not 100, only 500. 10 is 5,000, 100 is 50,000, although it is impossible to have 100, but 20 or 30 is also good. It feels great to sit and make a fortune. Cai Hongming was very emotional and daydreaming. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 15. Interviews cost money. Ring, ring, ring. The phone at the Liangzhou branch office of Northern Metropolis Daily rang, and Li Zaya picked up the phone weakly. There has been no news for a while, and she is so bored that hair is growing on her. If this continues, her year-end bonus will be gone. Hello, Northern Metropolis Daily, who is this? Oh, the world's largest sweet potato. I see. What's your address? Okay, thank you. Tell me your account number later, and if the news is accurate, we will transfer the money to your card. That's it. Alas, news is strictly controlled now. News that has a major impact on society cannot be published. Criminal cases depend on the circumstances, and there is no entertainment news. Otherwise, if the Feng Fei love can be photographed, it will be published. It's a pity that this is just a small city in the desert, and there are no big stars to shoot, so we can only report trivial matters. The person who called to report the news just now said that someone in their town had grown the world's largest sweet potato, which had been applied for the Guinness World Record. She felt that he was bragging again. She had received such calls several times. When she went to see it, it was completely different from what was said on the phone. Not only did she make a wasted trip, but she also had to pay for the round-trip gas. Being a reporter is really hard. I would not have studied this major earlier, but I still have to go and see. What if it is true? So the next morning, Li Zaya hurriedly drove to Guilin. When she arrived, she came to a bone-setting massage clinic according to the address given by the whistleblower. A middle-aged man was sitting on a chair and making tea. When he saw her coming, he asked, "Little girl, are you here for an interview?" "Yes." Li Zaya was surprised how he knew she was here for an interview, but she nodded without asking further questions. After hearing this, the middle-aged man stood up and walked to the door, pointing to the side and said, "If you want to interview, go in that alley. There is a sign over there. There is a door at the end. That's where you want to interview." Li Zaya thanked him and hurried to the alley. The middle-aged man was Cai Fu. Seeing another reporter passing by, he shook his head. It was hard to guess the world in people's hearts. What's so good about interviewing a sweet potato? He was just bored. He didn't know that there were the most people in the world who had nothing to do. They liked to watch such trivial and insignificant shit the most, and they would click on comments passionately, as if they were experts. Following the arrow mark on the sign in the alley that read the world's largest sweet potato interview site, Li Zaya came to the door that Cai Fu mentioned and heard a voice coming from inside. She thought it should be here, so she wanted to go in. Suddenly, a strong woman appeared and scared her. Auntie, what do you want to do?" Li Zaya was frightened and a little incoherent. "Little girl, you are here for an interview, right?" Maluan Feng said with a smile. How did you know?" "Of course I know. The person being interviewed is my son. How could I not know?" Maluan Feng said proudly. "Then, the world's largest sweet potato was grown by your son?" Li Zaya asked with her eyes rolling. "Of course, who else could it be other than him?" "Then, Auntie, can you take me to interview your son?" Li Zai said with a sweet smile that was so charming. Of course. Ma Luanfeng nodded. Li Zai listened and walked in excitedly. Suddenly, she heard someone calling from behind. Wait a minute, little girl. What's wrong, auntie? Li Zai turned around and asked curiously. Nothing, girl, it's just that I have to pay for the interview. As she said that, Ma Luanfeng stretched out her hand with an expression of collecting money. Pay? Li Zai widened her eyes in disbelief. It was ridiculous that she had to pay for interviewing such news. She wanted to turn around and leave immediately, but she thought that she hadn't interviewed anything this month, and she felt a little unwilling to leave like this. Moreover, if the sweet potato was really the world's largest sweet potato that applied for the Guinness World Record as the informant said, it would undoubtedly be a piece of news that could be on the front page. With this news, maybe her year-end bonus would be settled. After thinking about it, Li Zai asked, Auntie, how much do you want to pay? Ma Luanfeng raised 5 fingers. 50 is not very expensive, so Li Zai took out a $50 bill from her wallet and handed it to Ma Luanfeng. Unexpectedly, Ma Luanfeng didn't take it, but just said, 500. Li Zai thought that this strong country woman who looked a bit like a cow and a pig was crazy about money. She was interviewing to promote them, and she didn't charge them money, which was already a great honor. Why did she have to give her 500? What kind of person is this? She wanted to turn around and leave immediately, but she hadn't reported any valuable news this month. If it was really the world's largest sweet potato that had applied for the Guinness World Record, it would undoubtedly be a piece of news that could be published. With this news, she might get a year-end bonus. The editor had already said that if she couldn't report any useful news, not only would she lose her year-end bonus, but also her bonus and benefits for next month. That was life-threatening. Ma Luanfeng seemed to see her hesitation and said, little girl, 500 is not expensive. Think about it, we farmers have worked hard for almost a year from the beginning of spring to now to grow such a big sweet potato. Now sweet potatoes are not valuable. If we don't take advantage of your interview to collect some money, how can we live? Girl, these 500 are really worth it. You are interviewing not just one big sweet potato, but 2, a pair of male and female. After the interview, we will give you some sweet potatoes to try. Each one is at least 3 pounds. You will definitely not lose money, little girl. When Li Zai heard her words, she felt like buying a barrel of oil and giving a bottle of soy sauce for free in the supermarket. However, thinking of the hard work of farmers in farming, it is reasonable to take the opportunity to collect some money to subsidize the income from the land. After listening to Ma Luanfeng's explanation, she even felt that spending 500 yuan to interview was worth it. In the end, I don't know why, I took out the money in a daze and followed her in. When she got inside, she saw several reporters surrounding a man holding a big sweet potato and taking pictures. The sweet potato was really big. There were many people for the interview, and some were still queuing. Ma Luanfeng got a stool for Li Zai to sit on, and then ran to the corner with the money to count happily. The more Ma Luanfeng counted, the happier she became, and her eyes were almost smiling. She felt that her son's brain was really useful. She was thinking about whether she should keep the chickens at home and apply for a world record for being so angry that you die when they grow up, and then ask people to come over for interviews and collect money. Regardless of whether she can earn money for interviews with the chickens she raises, Cai Hongming and his father will not be able to eat the chickens raised at home for a while. Chapter 16. My mom is really talented. Li Zai sat on a stool waiting for the interview, her heart bleeding as she thought about the 500 yuan that was taken away. That was enough to buy several pieces of clothes and cosmetics. The more she thought about it, the more she felt unwilling. She couldn't help but get angry. She thought about whether she should post the interview photos with a title saying black-hearted sweet potato brother, using the world's largest sweet potato gimmick to make money. But she didn't need to think about it. She knew that once this title was posted, it would definitely be severely complained by those netizens who had nothing better to do. She had already thought of the content of the complaints as follows. What's wrong with the farmers working hard to grow experts? It's just 500 yuan, right? Why do you act like your parents are dead? Editor, are you stupid? Did they ask you to do the interview? You want the interview, and you blame them for paying. Then you don't have to pay if you ask your sister to serve you. The above person is right, but I feel that she is not stupid, but she grew up eating shit. Otherwise how could she be so weird to think that others are using sweet potatoes to make money? If you have the guts, go and grow the world's #1. Ditto. Ditto. Emperor of Truth. Lisa shuddered at the thought of the sharp words of those people on the internet and quickly deleted the idea. After looking at it, she found that most of the reporters who came were just taking pictures, and few of them were interviewing or talking. She knew some of these people. After all, they were all responsible for the same area. They would see each other every day, and sometimes they would inevitably interview the same news. In fact, this was not a big news. It was just a rare thing that could be published. Just take some pictures. As for interviewing the person who grew the sweet potato, there was no need. Anyway, the photos were posted, and then it was said that a farmer in such and such a place grew the world's largest sweet potato, and even the name did not need to be mentioned. Everyone just watched the excitement, and few people cared about these. Suddenly, she found that the four-eyed frog sitting next to her seemed to have been seen at a press conference. She was also bored, so she asked, "You are here too?" "Well, this is also a news, so I made a special trip." Li Yan did not expect her to talk to her, so she responded, "Don't you think it's expensive to spend 500 yuan for an interview?" It turned out that she was worried about the money. No wonder she came to talk to him. She probably wanted to vent. Otherwise, as far as he knew, this cat was a cold cat. After figuring out the reason why she came to talk to him, Li Yan pushed his glasses and said, "It depends on how you think. Now as an economic society, everything is consensual. If you don't interview him, you don't have to spend money. It's just like paying for vegetables. Moreover, we begged him for an interview, so it's reasonable to pay. He didn't beg us for an interview, but just quoted the price and let us decide whether to interview him or not. If that person takes the initiative to ask us for an interview and wants us to promote them, that's another matter. Not only does he not want money, he may even give you a red envelope. Don't say you haven't encountered it before." Lisa was speechless after hearing this. How could she not have encountered it before? Most people should give a red envelope and treat them to a meal or something. Otherwise, why do you think so many people like to be reporters now? But she still felt unbalanced, thinking that when it was her turn to interview and take photos, she would not even take photos of the guy who produced the world's largest sweet potato, but only take photos of the sweet potato, so as not to give him free publicity. When she thought of the 500 yuan she spent on the interview, she gritted her teeth in hatred. These 500 yuan could not be reimbursed. 500 yuan was a lot of money. Okay. Maluan Feng counted the money and ran out from the corner again. After standing behind the reporter who was taking photos and watching the photos they took for a while, she felt that it was quite easy, and she actually started to point out where to take the photos and which angles were better. Cai Hongming saw it and was really amused. He felt that his mother was really talented, not just ordinary talent, but top talent. The next day, major websites and newspapers reported that the world's largest sweet potato was found in the desert Gobi. This is also a gimmick. Some people may feel that it is nothing when they see the big sweet potato, but if they are connected to a vast desert of yellow sand, it is different. So when this name appeared, it immediately attracted a large number of clicks from netizens. In less than half a day, it had exceeded 10,000, making the reporters who paid 500 yuan for the interview very happy. This was related to a large bonus, so they couldn't help but be happy. Cai Hongming was also praised by netizens as sweet potato brother because of the report on the world's largest sweet potato. Now he is famous, comparable to the sharp brother back then. Some people even opened a special forum for him. After some idle people in the town found out, they took some photos of him and posted them. Fortunately, they were just some photos of barbecue and daily life, otherwise he would have chopped those guys alive. He originally called the city TV station to ask them to come for an interview, but unfortunately they didn't luck down on him and didn't come. He didn't call the county TV station because the county TV station had interviewed him before and even made a special feature on making beggars chicken for him. What he didn't expect was that the city TV station didn't come, but the provincial TV station did. The main reason was that the number of clicks on the world's largest sweet potato on the internet was too shocking, so they came to join in the fun after receiving the news. After all, it is a market economy now. Being popular means making money. No one in this world is stupid. It is impossible to charge money for the interview of the provincial TV station. However, at his request, they specially took a few shots of their clinic, which was considered free publicity. As soon as the provincial TV station broadcasted it, the city TV station and the county TV station also came over, which made him very annoyed. Because he couldn't charge money, he would be happy if he could. Ting Ting was a reporter sent by the provincial TV station to Gilong to interview the news of the world's largest sweet potato. When she came back, she couldn't resist the host's hospitality and brought back 2 sweet potatoes. The sweet potatoes are really good, bigger than those on the market, and they are particularly sweet when cooked, but not greasy. She cooked some sweet potato porridge with sweet potatoes, put it in a small bowl, and tasted it bit by bit. She could feel the strong natural flavor coming from the sweet potatoes, which is not available in those sweet potatoes on the market. Good things should of course be shared with friends to make them greedy and make them envious and jealous. So she took a few photos of eating sweet potato porridge, together with the photos of the world's largest sweet potato and the video of the interview, and posted them on her Instagram. Sen Qingying is Ting Ting's classmate and also a reporter, but she works for CCTV. Ting Ting has always envied her. Although they are both reporters, one works for a provincial TV station and the other for CCTV, and the treatment is completely different. Unfortunately, her family only has some connections in the provincial TV station, not CCTV at all. In that place, it is not about beauty and wisdom, but about brains and background. As a CCTV reporter, Sen Qingying naturally has a unique news sensitivity. When looking at something, they will never just look at the surface, but look through the surface to see their intrinsic value and dig out the highlights for reporting. For example, the world's largest sweet potato and the sweet potato brother who grows sweet potatoes that are now going viral on the internet are just that in her opinion. People just want something new, and it is estimated that no one will remember him after today. But after watching the video sent by her classmates, she had a different idea, and she found information that could be discovered. So, she sent a text message to her classmates and asked, Ting Ting, the man who was planting sweet potatoes in the video you posted, doesn't seem to have an accent from the Northwest. He is indeed not from the Northwest. I heard that his family is in southern Fujian, and his mother is from the Northwest. Later, because his mother missed home, the whole family moved there. It may not be a big deal for a young man to grow the world's largest sweet potato, but it is different for a southerner to grow big sweet potatoes in the Northwest. The current society has always criticized young people. The image of a young man who has taken root in the Northwest, is willing to be a farmer, and grows the world's largest sweet potato is undoubtedly very inspiring. Isn't this the theme that news needs now, and the positive energy that society needs now? People are too impetuous now, and need such news too much. So, she checked the address of Cai Hongming, said hello to the relevant people, and took a group of people to Gilong. Chapter 17 CCTV Interview. When the Gilong County Magistrate received a call from CCTV about an interview, he was both happy and nervous. He was happy that Gilong would be on TV again, which would undoubtedly add to his political achievements. Although the world's largest sweet potato he was interviewing had nothing to do with him, it was grown in Gilong after all, so he could not do without the care and encouragement of the county leaders and the help of the technicians of the Agricultural Science Institute. What made him nervous was that fame sometimes meant trouble. For example, the official who wore a famous watch before was a real top leader. He was found and searched for because of the expensive watch on his wrist, and finally was imprisoned. It would take a long time for him to come out. What's the point of coming out at that time, except waiting to die? The county magistrate was so worried that his head was about to split. He rubbed his brows. He couldn't refuse the interview. They were just informing him and didn't need their help at all. After thinking about it, he asked his subordinates to arrange a personal reception. Everything was in accordance with the rules, and people couldn't find any faults. Sen Qingying and his group arrived in Gilong soon after. They didn't know that the Ginnan County magistrate had a headache for several days because of their arrival. They rested for a while at the county guest house and then walked to Cai Hongming's home under the guidance of the reception staff sent by the government. Cai Hongming had received the news that CCTV was going to interview him in advance, so he did not go anywhere today and waited at home. In fact, he was not very willing to let these official media come to interview him. He had no money to earn, and he had to. He was not willing to let these official media come to interview him. He was not willing to let them. In the backyard, 2 oversized sweet potatoes were already placed, and some small sweet potatoes were placed next to them. They were called small sweet potatoes, but each one weighed about 3 to 4 pounds. Some people in the town who came to watch the fun had never seen a big sweet potato, and they couldn't help but exclaimed when they saw it. Although Sen Qingying had seen photos before, she was still surprised to see the real thing. She couldn't help but reach out to touch and knock it, wanting to see if the thing in front of her was hollow like a pumpkin. "Are these sweet potatoes grown here?" Sen Qingying asked curiously. "No, they are in the village over there in Kilian Mountain." Oh, Sen Qingying thought deeply for a moment. Since this was not a place where sweet potatoes were grown, there was no need to stay. She immediately said, "Can you take us to the place where sweet potatoes are grown?" "Of course, but that place is a bit far away, and we may not be able to come back at night if we go." "It doesn't matter, we'll drive there and sleep in the car if we can't come back," Sen Qingying said. Some people think that being a journalist is great, that they can travel all over the country and even the world, and eat all the local delicacies, but few people know the hardships behind being a journalist. Sometimes, for a piece of news, journalists have to stay for several days, and it is normal to sleep in the open air and in the car. When reporting on windy, rainy, snowy, and hailstorms, some people are hospitalized due to being hit by wind, rain, and hail. Sen Qingying still remembers hearing a senior say, before entering the industry, that his friend encountered extreme weather when he went to interview, and suddenly hailstorms fell. He saw that the hail was not very big, so he started reporting in the hailstorm. Unexpectedly, a ball of ice mixed with countless small hailstorms fell from the sky and hit him on the head, causing him to bleed and go directly to the hospital. Even now, that person still feels scared when he thinks about it, because it is said that after he was sent away by his colleagues, the hailstorms in the sky became larger, from soybeans to ping pong balls. If such a large hailstorm fell from above, it is estimated that the head would be blown open, and there would be no need to go to the hospital, but directly to the crematorium. Every job has its advantages and disadvantages. It is impossible to take all the advantages and leave out the disadvantages. Seeing that Sen Qingying insisted, Cai Hongming did not say anything. Anyway, the barbecue sheep were almost gone, and he had to go to Kilian village. But now he must eat there for lunch and dinner. There are rice and vegetables there, but there is no meat and fish, so he went to the market to buy some, so as not to have nothing to entertain customers. After buying things, he drove a 4-wheeled motorcycle with Sen Qingying and others to Kilian village. When leaving, he also took the 2 big sweet potatoes at Sen Qingying's request. Originally, she wanted to take some small sweet potatoes, but Cai Hongming said that there were some in the village, so she didn't say anything. The asphalt desert road is like a long snake, ups and downs, extending forward, as if there is no end. There is endless yellow sand on both sides of the road, no people, no vitality, and a dead silence. Cai Hongming drove in front and led the way. After driving for a while, he suddenly heard a horn from the side. He turned around and found a motorcycle next to him. After a closer look, he found that it was an acquaintance from the county, so he honked his horn to greet him. The man waved his hand and drove away. After a while, a car mechanic came from behind, also an acquaintance. The man motioned him to roll down the window. When he did, the mechanic said, "Brother Bird, how about we have a race to see whose car is faster?" His 4-wheeled motorcycle was modified from his place. Would he be stupid enough to compete with him? So, he gave him a middle finger. The man looked at it and gave it back vigorously, then drove the car in front of him, released a butt of black smoke, and drove away. Cai Hongming looked at it and greeted his mother very politely. If he was not leading the way for the CCTV reporter, he would have driven up and beat the boy up. After driving for a long time, they arrived at Kilian village at 1 o'clock. At this time, Bagang and his friends had already eaten. Cai Hongming was very hungry and was too lazy to cook carefully, so he and Uncle Fu cooked a few dishes to entertain them. After eating and taking a rest, the group continued to rush to the place where sweet potatoes were planted. Cai Hongming knew that these people wanted to rush back at night. After all, it was better to be in the county than in this village in the endless yellow sand. Unfortunately, this was simply impossible. It was already past 1 o'clock, and an interview would take at least until 3 or 4 o'clock. It would be dark after dinner, and it would take half a day to drive back. They didn't know how scary the road in the desert was at night. The road was yellow sand, so quiet that you could hear your heart beating. Occasionally, there was a rustling sound in the wind, and 1 or 2 green glowing wild animals suddenly jumped out to scare people to death. If you are unlucky and encounter car robbers on the road, people will die and be buried in the desert without anyone knowing. He would not be stupid enough to go back with them. When they came to the mountain, Sen Qiang looked at the fertile land where sweet potatoes were planted and asked Cai Hongming, "Is this where the big sweet potatoes are planted?" "Yes," Cai Hongming nodded. Sen Qiang looked around and felt that this place was good, so she said, "Mr. K, I want to do an interview with you here. Is it okay?" "Of course." Seeing that he agreed, Sen Qiang asked him if he had any chairs or tables at home and took them out to set them up so that it would be better to sit down for the interview. Cai Hongming waved his hand and said no, and then took her to a place on the right side of the wooden house. There were stone tables and stone chairs there, and there was originally a wooden pavilion, but unfortunately because the wooden pillars were good, they were dismantled to make beams. Only these stone tables and stone chairs were too heavy and no one moved them away. When Sen Qiang arrived at the place, she saw the endless desert Gobi in front of her, the green forest not far behind, and the field where sweet potatoes were planted, and a small wooden house next to it. The scenery was nice. She nodded and asked the staff to start preparing. At this moment, the cameraman who was preparing to shoot suddenly stared and pointed at the back of Cai Hongming and shouted, "Deer! There are deer!" Chapter 18, Immortal Deer Offering Ganoderma lucidum. Everyone looked in the direction he pointed and saw a sick deer with tall antlers sneaking out from the woods behind. When it saw that they were all looking at it, it was so scared that it immediately went back into the woods. After a while, it ran out again and walked to Cai Hongming to rub against him. Cai Hongming looked at the sick deer and didn't know what to say because he found that this sick deer was the big male deer that he let go last time. He finally had a conscience and let it go, but he didn't expect this guy to run over and die again. "Do you really think he is a good vegetarian? Mr. K, did you raise this deer?" Sen Qiang asked curiously with her beautiful eyes. "How can I have that ability? It's wild. But we have met before, so we have some friendship." Cai Hongming added in his heart, a friendship that was earned through killing. "Oh." The big male deer rubbed against Cai Hongming, called out twice, and turned around and ran back to the woods. Then, he saw it running out of the woods with a green Ganoderma lucidum with a root 2 fingers thick in its mouth. The Ganoderma lucidum is as green as clear water, with a cloud-like cover and a big head. Cai Hongming's hometown also produces Ganoderma lucidum, but they are all red. He has never seen a green Ganoderma lucidum like this before. He wondered if it was moss, but it didn't look like it. The big male deer held the green Ganoderma lucidum and put it straight into his arms. He had no choice but to reach out and take it. After he took the green Ganoderma lucidum, the big male deer turned around and called out. Then, a female deer came out of the woods. The female deer was a little shy and stood there timidly until the big male deer called out a few more times. Then it ran from the woods and hid beside the big male deer and then secretly looked at Cai Hongming and the others with a look that was a little bit scared and a little bit curious. Cai Hongming didn't know what the big deer wanted to do. Just when he was about to say something, he saw another little deer coming out of the woods. The little deer was injured. A piece of flesh had fallen off its hind leg. It had rotted and become inflamed, and it was limping when it walked. "Yo-yo," the big deer called to Cai Hongming, then bit his clothes, and walked towards the little deer. Now, Cai Hongming finally understood. It turned out that this guy wanted him to treat the little deer's injury, and the green Ganoderma lucidum was his medical expenses. This guy was almost a spirit. But how did this guy know that he could treat the little deer's injury? Maybe it didn't know, but it was just an animal's instinct to seek good fortune and avoid danger. When life is hurt, they will look for people who can help them. Like the weasels, foxes, tigers, bears and the like that people used to say ran to humans to be treated. It was probably the same. Since you have accepted the money for the medicine, you should do your best to treat it. Cai Hongming looked at the fawn's wound, then walked back to the cabin, took out disinfectant and plaster, and prepared to treat the fawn. Sometimes it is inevitable to get injured in this mountain, and it is troublesome to run back to the village to clean up, so he prepared some wound medicine in the cabin. The fawn was shy, and when it saw Cai Hongming coming, it kept hiding next to its parents. The big male deer saw it, and pushed it to Cai Hongming. Cai Hongming walked to the fawn, touched it gently, and comforted its anxiety. After the fawn's emotions stabilized a little, he slowly cut off the rotten flesh on the fawn's wound with a knife, and then cleaned the wound with disinfectant, and then roasted the family plaster over the fire, and applied it to the fawn's wound. As if feeling the heat from the wound, the fawn's injured leg moved restlessly. Cai Hongming quickly and gently pressed it down, to prevent it from removing the plaster. After the fawn got used to it, he let go of his hand. His plaster has the effect of removing dead flesh, regenerating flesh and stopping bleeding. In fact, it is not necessary to remove the dead flesh, but the wound will heal more slowly. After removing it, the wound will recover half as fast. After treating the deer's wound, Cai Hongming carried the deer into the house, and then found some useless bags and rags to pad the ground, letting the deer lie down, to prevent it from running around, and touching the wound. Then, he took a piece of sweet potato from the place where sweet potatoes were placed in the house, chopped it up, and placed it next to the deer for it to eat. After finishing, Cai Hongming thought that the jade toad liquid seemed to be very effective, so he mixed some water with the jade toad liquid and gave it to the deer to drink, intending to see if the jade toad liquid mixed with water would also have the same effect on wound recovery. After waiting for him to finish, Senki quietly asked the photographer, "Did you take pictures when the cicada appeared just now?" "I took pictures," the photographer said excitedly. He didn't expect to take such a simple and innocent scene. Isn't this the legendary fairy deer offering ZHI? People have always thought it was a legend, but they didn't expect it to be true, and it happened right in front of them. Senki couldn't help but clench her fists. She believed that this episode of the show must be very exciting and the ratings must be very high after it is broadcast. The big male deer and the female deer followed him in when they saw him carrying the fawn into the house. Seeing him pouring water for the fawn, the big male deer seemed to smell a familiar smell and couldn't help but stretching his neck to lick the water in the basin, but was slapped aside by Cai Hongming. When he was done, Senki and their staff had prepared everything. So, Cai Hongming's first interview in his life began. Facing the camera, he suddenly felt a little nervous. Although many people had interviewed him before, those people just took pictures and asked a few questions. They were not so formal at all. Now, he was at a loss. Senki smiled when she saw him fidgeting. She thought he could do everything. He looked like an ordinary person, so would he be nervous? But I didn't tease him, just chatted with him casually, and asked him, after he was no longer nervous, "Mr. K, I heard that you are not from Gilang, but from southern Fujian. Is that true?" "Don't call me Mr. K, it makes me feel weird, just call me Hongming. Of course, if you don't want to call me by my name, you can also call me Leo K, KJ, or Hongjen." Cai Hongming didn't say his most popular names Bird Brother and Big Bird Brother. After all, those names are weird, and there are many taboos on national television, so they will definitely be deleted when the time comes. "I didn't expect you to have so many nicknames." "Then I'll call you Hongming." Senki directly ignored Leo K, Hongjen and the like, and continued, "Let's continue with the previous question. I heard that you are not from Gilang, but from southern Fujian. Is it true?" "Well, our family used to live in southern Fujian. Later, my mother missed home, so my father moved here with her. I didn't come here until junior high school. Then did you adapt to the environment here when you came? Of course I didn't. Look at southern Fujian. There are green mountains and clear waters everywhere. Even the wind carries a hint of the warm and soft breath of southern Fujian mountains and waters. But here there is sand everywhere, and the rain in a year is not as much as that in southern Fujian in a day. How can I adapt to it? However, I got used to it after staying for a long time. I heard that after you came, you started planting trees in the village. Why did you plant trees? Others don't plant trees. Will anyone think you are stupid? I used to feel strange when I saw some places on TV without even a tree or even grass. I wondered why they didn't plant trees. Isn't it simple to plant trees? In southern Fujian, almost every household will plant some trees, flowers, and grass at home, but few people do this here. When I first came to the village, I couldn't even see anything green. I wondered why they didn't plant something. Even a cactus would be good. Later I found out that there was a water shortage here, an extreme water shortage. In addition to a seasonal spring that flows from the remnant of the Kilian Mountains in spring and summer, there is no water available in the village. At other times, water can only be transported in from outside. Imagine that people can't even guarantee water for daily life. How can they plant trees and raise flowers? Later, by chance, I found a well left by my ancestors, and I brought the well water to the village. With the water, I started to plant trees. Look at the trees I'm planting now, how prosperous they are. I will plant again next year. After a few years, when the trees grow up, the village should no longer be affected by wind and sand. The desert is indeed short of water, and it is understandable that some places do not plant trees, but some places can plant trees but do not. Many people always think that they are only here for 2 or 3 years and will leave after that. There is no need to do these useless things, and it cannot add a stroke to their political achievements to make them promoted and rich. He does not plant, and he does not plant. When the desert expands, it is us ordinary people who will suffer. Sen Qihang said with emotion. Cai Hongming raised his eyebrows slightly when he heard her words. He did not expect that this woman was so sharp and not afraid of offending people. Once this was said, it would offend a lot of people. But she is a CCTV reporter, and she eats this mouthful of rice for a living. It is not certain who is afraid of whom. Chapter 19. The Big Deer Causing Trouble. The big deer waited for Cai Hongming to go out, and then drank up the remaining jade-toad liquid that the little deer had drunk. After staying inside for a while, feeling stuffy, the big deer walked out of the house, and saw Cai Hongming being interviewed over there, so he slowly walked over. Sen Qihang asked again, since you want to plant trees, have you ever thought about contracting this piece of land? Seeing the endless yellow sand in front of the village, I really thought about contracting this large desert in front of me and transforming it into a desert oasis, and then planting rice, raising some fish, and raising some ostriches or something. Why do I feel it's a bit unrealistic? After all, there is a lack of water here, and it's impossible for you to raise fish and grow rice. Young people must have dreams. Cai Hongming waved his hand in an old-fashioned way and said, the chairman has a dream of realizing the great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation, let alone us. A great dream is achieved by countless small dreams. I think the dream proposed by the chairman is actually the trunk of a tree, and our dreams are the branches and leaves of a tree. If I can really turn this desert into an oasis, I can become a part of these branches and leaves. In the future, I will be proud to tell others that I have also struggled to realize the great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation. I'm honored to be its witness. Sen Qihang was a little excited. This sentence is actually a slogan. A great dream is achieved by countless small dreams. It means that if everyone adds fuel, the flame will rise high, which means that even if we are in ordinary positions, we can play a role in the chairman's Chinese dream instead of feeling so far away. With just this sentence, Sen Qihang knew that this trip was worth it. After the interview was broadcast, it would definitely be sought after by countless people, causing another storm after the dream mentioned by the chairman. Don't doubt those officials now. They are much better at showmanship than being officials. In the future, they will definitely have many dreams and compete to be branches and leaves on the tree. Sen Qihang looked at Cai Hongming and felt a little sorry. If he was a civil servant, he might not be able to be promoted to a higher level with this interview. Unfortunately, he is not. The interview continued, and Cai Hongming spoke with saliva flying. If someone familiar saw him like this, they would know that he was fooling people again. The big stag walked over slowly. Seeing so many people in front holding things, and looking at this side, he was a little scared, and quickly hid behind Cai Hongming, but the huge antlers were still standing tall. It looked as if Cai Hongming had suddenly grown to horns on his head, and the staff present looked strange. After a while, the big deer couldn't help but stick its head out from over Cai Hongming's head to look out. Cai Hongming and the big deer's faces were up and down, which was funny, no matter how you looked at them. Cai Hongming suddenly felt something strange on his head, and when he looked up, he found that it was the big deer. This guy we are interviewing now, but he actually came to make trouble. He quickly pushed its head back and drove it away. When Cai Hongming saw the big deer, her heart moved, and she walked to the cameraman and whispered a few words, then sat back and continued the interview. The big deer was driven away by Cai Hongming, and after a while, it quietly walked back and hid behind Cai Hongming and watched secretly. It seemed that it couldn't get enough of it, so it suddenly stretched its head and leaned against Cai Hongming's ear to look at the camera and deliberately showed its teeth. Cai Hongming felt it, turned his head, glared at it, and wanted to tell it to leave, but he didn't expect that this guy suddenly stretched out his big tongue to lick his face and directly washed his face. Cai Hongming was embarrassed by it and immediately got angry. He wanted to drag it down and beat it up. Unfortunately, CCTV staff were here, so it was not easy to use force. So he went to the shed to get a piece of sweet potato, cut it into pieces, and put it in the wooden shed for it to eat. When the big male deer saw the food, he ran over and called the female deer to eat together. It was finally quiet now, and Cai Hongming accepted the interview at ease. Hongming, then I would like to ask, when did you learn to grow sweet potatoes, and how did you grow the largest sweet potato in the world? Is there any secret that you can tell us? I was born and raised in a farming family. I have been influenced by it since I was a child. I don't know when I learned to grow sweet potatoes. In fact, growing sweet potatoes is very simple. You can just find a piece of land to bury the sweet potatoes, and you can dig them up every few months. But if you want a better harvest, you have to spend time and effort to take care of them. After all, there is no love without reason in this world, and no harvest without reason. The land where I grew the big sweet potatoes was very barren at first. I brought bags of mature cow, sheep, chicken and duck manure from the county, and spent a lot of time and effort to dig bags of fertile black soil made from rotting dead branches and leaves from the mountains to mix them together. Even so, the harvest in the first year was meager. The second year was better, and in the third year, the sweet potatoes began to harvest in abundance, with each one weighing at least 3 kilograms. These two were unexpected harvests. I applied fertilizer and watered them in the same way, but I don't know why they grew so big. I guess they either had genetic mutations or absorbed more fertilizers, otherwise there is no explanation. Cai Hongming lead with his eyes open, but it can't be blamed on him. Could he tell others about the jade toad liquid? He is not that stupid. After the big male deer finished eating the sweet potatoes, it ran over again, sneaking behind the two of them and looking curiously, walking left and right, like an old man patrolling the road. Cai Hongming glared at it and wanted to drive it away, but seeing that Cai Hongming and the cameraman didn't say anything, he ignored it. The big male deer walked around and was no longer so afraid of the CCTV staff. It gradually became bolder and slowly walked towards the cameraman. It curiously stretched its head and turned around, and suddenly became interested in the camera in the cameraman's hand, so it stretched its head to look in front of the camera. The cameraman was startled when he suddenly saw the face of the big stag in the camera lens, but he recovered quickly and ignored it and continued filming. The big stag looked at it, then lost interest and felt bored, so he walked to Cai Hongming and lay quietly. After the interview, Cai Hongming was afraid that the injured fawn would get into trouble if it stayed on the mountain, so he took it to the yard at the foot of the mountain to take care of it nearby. The big stag was already very familiar with him and knew that he would not hurt them, so he brought the doe down with him. When Bagong saw the sicker deer, his eyes almost lit up, especially when he saw the pair of antlers. His saliva almost flowed out. But seeing that the CCTV personnel were there, he did not dare to show it too obviously, and at least he restrained himself a little. But Cai Hongming clearly saw bottles of deer antler wine in his eyes. The food in the evening was better, so Cai Hongming slaughtered a sheep and made a big pot of mutton hot pot and grilled lamb chops to entertain the CCTV personnel. At the table, Sen Qiang followed suit and ate without any ladylike manners. It was not that she did not want to be reserved, but she had no choice. If you were reserved among such a group of foodies, you would have nothing to eat. After the meal, Cai Hongming took out the last snack from the kitchen, deep fried desert scorpions. This, Sen Qiang did not dare to compliment it. After all, she was a girl and was a little scared. But those staff had seen everything and were not afraid of raw or cold food. They just stuffed it into their mouths and ate happily. Seeing how delicious they were eating, Sen Qiang timidly picked up one from the plate and put it in her mouth and bit it gently. It was crispy and tasted like salt and pepper. It felt really good. Chapter 20. Cranes crying in the sky. After dinner, everyone took chairs and sat in front of the house to look at the stars. The stars in the desert seemed to be closer to the sky and looked much brighter than those in the city. It was so quiet that I could hear my own heartbeat. In the night sky, the moon disappeared at some point, and only the Milky Way quietly hung above my head. The stars in the sky flickered, deep and mysterious, stretching everyone's soul into the vast universe, away from the dust. In the dark, it seemed that there was a magical power quietly soothing the restlessness in your heart, making you very peaceful and quiet. Suddenly, a meteor streaked through the night sky, pulling out a brilliant tail flame, and fell into the endless darkness, which immediately caused everyone to exclaim and sigh. The cold air in late autumn did not bring too much chill to people, but made people clear their hearts. Sen Qiang looked at the bright stars in the sky. Her eyes were intoxicated, and she murmured, "It's so beautiful, I really want to live here for a month." Women are emotional animals, and they can't resist this natural romance. As the night deepened, no matter how beautiful the starry sky was, it couldn't stop everyone from falling asleep, so they all went to sleep. After several families in the village became rich, they built sturdy buildings with reinforced concrete structures. Bagan was rich, so he built 2 floors. Although Sanai was rich, he was very stingy, so he only built 1 floor. Wuai and Uncle Fu also built 1 floor. Cai Hongming's family enclosed a large piece of land and built a courtyard-style house with 1 floor in the front and 2 floors in the back. He also dug a small pond behind his yard, planted some trees, and raised some chickens. It's a pity that there is no water in the pond, otherwise it would look a bit like a Jiangnan garden. Because there are many houses, these staff members are easy to arrange, and they don't have to live with Bagan and his family. Cai Hongming's family only needs to clean up a few rooms. After a while, the sky was filled with rosy clouds. In an instant, the sky became a colorful and magnificent world. The clouds like flower petals flashed with golden red brilliance, as if a huge carp covered with golden scales was lying across the sky. Then, golden light spurted out, and a fireball rose slowly. For a moment, thousands of golden lights awakened the silent desert. The sunlight brought the beautiful lines of the desert into your eyes in an extremely dazzling way. The lifeless sand seemed to be colored and injected with life by the gods. Under this sunlight, the sand that was originally only wheat yellow was dyed into a charming golden color. The wrinkles of the golden sand dunes were like solidified waves, extending into the distance. When the breeze blew, it was like the waves of the sea, and its shape changed again. In a strange place, Sen Qiang always had trouble falling asleep. She only slept for a while last night, and woke up early today. Seeing that she couldn't sleep, she got up wrapped in a thick quilt, and watched the sun rise in the cold autumn. After sunrise, she found Cai Hongming walked out of the house, and practiced boxing in the open space in front of the house. His posture was graceful, like a bird spreading its wings and waving. His voice was like a bird of prey breaking through the sky and screaming. After watching for a while, she suddenly became interested. Her beautiful eyes flickered a few times, and she put on her clothes, took out the camera, and ran downstairs to shoot. Cai Hongming saw her coming, but didn't care, and continued to practice boxing. He felt itchy all over his body after not practicing boxing for a few days, and all the strength in his body was accumulated in one place, as if it was about to explode. The sicker deer staying in the backyard heard his voice and ran out of the yard one after another. Seeing him practicing boxing in the open space with his hands and feet dancing, they also jumped happily beside him and didn't know what they were doing. Cai Hongming ignored these guys and continued to practice. The big male deer ran closer and closer, and when it got close to him, it suddenly poked its head towards him. Cai Hongming saw it, moved his feet, turned his body slightly, and made a crane beak with his right hand and suddenly struck forward. The big deer was stupid and pushed his head forward. Cai Hongming was speechless. This stupid deer really didn't want to live. Didn't he know that he could turn it into a dead deer with a little force? However, he didn't really use force, but gently tapped its head with his crane beak, then turned around and changed the direction to continue practicing boxing. The big deer thought he was playing a game with it and chased after it excitedly. Chasing and running, the big deer set off Cai Hongming's elegant posture. Sen Qihang seemed to see a big deer chasing a dancing crane. Annoyed by it, at the end of the practice, Cai Hongming made a crane wing with his hands and suddenly jumped up and jumped onto the back of the big deer, then made a crane cry, stepped on the ground, flew forward, and flew a few meters before landing. According to ancient family books, someone who practiced this move could flap his wings and fly 1,000 feet. He absolutely did not believe this. 1 foot is about 3.33 centimeters, and 1,000 feet is 33,333 centimeters, which is 333 meters. A person jumping 333 meters is undoubtedly a fairy tale. How could he believe it? The desert is cold in the morning, not to mention that the Mid-Autumn Festival has passed, and the weather is even colder. Generally, it is only 8 or 9 degrees in the morning. This is already very cold for him who grew up in southern Fujian. But after practicing boxing, he felt warm. After wiping the hot sweat from his forehead, Cai Hongming greeted Sen Qihang, who was resting next to him after filming, and said, "Reporter, so early? Did you not sleep well yesterday? Why do you seem to have dark circles under your eyes? Is it?" Sen Qihang's face changed slightly when she heard his words. She touched her face and remembered that she had not washed her face or put on makeup in the morning. She hurriedly ran into the house. Seeing her suddenly run in, Cai Hongming did not care. She was a reporter and he was the interviewee. They basically had no interactions in the future, so he didn't want to explore or exchange feelings. After touching the big male deer that came over again and looking at the recovery of the deer's wound, Cai Hongming ran to the kitchen to cook. After dinner, he took the sheep court from the third master and the CCTV reporters to Gilang. After they left, Baigong turned around, and his eyes almost lit up when he saw the tall antlers on the head of the big male deer jumping around next to him. The fact was, just as Cai Hongming thought. He was attracted by the pair of antlers on the head of the big male deer, and was thinking about how to saw it off to make wine. The big male deer seemed to sense the danger, and ran away when he saw him. Chapter 21 Racing. Please click, recommend, and collect. My passion is like a fire, burning the whole desert. The sun will hide from me when it sees me, and it will also be afraid of my fire of love. With me, the desert will never be lonely, and it will be full of flowers of youth. I sing loudly, and you sing softly, intoxicated by the little river of love in the desert. Cai Hongming sang loudly, while shaking his body, and driving the four-wheeled motorcycle. Fortunately, his car was closed, otherwise people would be scared to death if they heard his terrible howling out of tune. He was singing happily when a horn suddenly sounded from behind, and then he saw the car repair boy who wanted to compete with him yesterday driving over. This boy's real name is Tuobren. He opened a car repair shop by himself. It's really awesome. From bicycles, electric cars to cars, he can fix any broken car. It's just that he talks a little bit arrogant. He wanted to teach him a lesson several times, but he let him go because he modified his car for him. Until now, he still feels that he was ripped off by this guy when he helped him modify the car. Hundreds of thousands, although not a one-time payment, but it is a lot of money. He felt distressed just thinking about it. If he finds evidence that this guy killed him, he will skin him alive. Tuoba Niu drove the car to Cai Hongming's four-wheeled motorcycle, patted the car and said, "Brother Bird, do you dare to compete? Compare birds. I'm a four-wheeled motorcycle. You are a car. How can you compete?" Cai Hongming said unhappily. "Brother Bird, yours is a super fast V12 power. How dare you compete with my broken car? Don't worry, don't gamble. I know you will lose every time you gamble. Let's bet on the barbecue tonight. If you lose, you treat me. Don't worry, the consumption is no more than 100 yuan, and I will pay for more than 100 yuan." Tuoba Niu said to Cai Hongming slowly. Cai Hongming has a problem, that is, he will lose every time he gambles, as long as it involves gambling, whether it is poker or mahjong, etc. He will lose everything, which is very strange. Hearing this kid's words so arrogantly, Cai Hongming wanted to strangle him to death. But after hearing the last part, he felt that the conditions were not bad. A barbecue worth 100 yuan was no big deal. Suddenly, he felt that this mentality was not right. Why was he thinking about losing before the game even started? How could this guy say that if he lost? He asked, "What if you lose? Don't you always complain that your four-wheeled motorcycle is too small? I just know that there is a batch of scrapped cars coming down recently. The quality is not bad. I will install it for you for free. How about it? So generous?" Cai Hongming looked at Tuoba Niu and touched the hard stubble beard that had just grown on his chin. He felt that this guy had some bad intentions and seemed to be luring him into a trap. But if he lost, it was just a barbecue worth 100 yuan. If he won, he would make a fortune. After thinking about it, he decided to gamble. Since he decided to compete with Tuoba Niu, it was not suitable for him to go with the CCTV reporters, so he said hello to the CCTV reporters and got in the car to prepare for the game. Tuoba Niu rubbed his hands, urged the accelerator, and was ready to go. Cai Hongming sat in the car and thought about it, but he was still a little worried. Although his four-wheeled motorcycle is equipped with the superpower of a car V12 cylinder and is very fast, this guy is a car mechanic, and modified cars have always been his strong point. Although his small truck that combines a trailer and a crane looks stupid, bulky, and ugly on the outside, it is possible that he has installed a powerful power inside, so he has to be careful. After thinking about it, he got out of the car and walked towards the car where Sen Qiang was sitting. When he came to the car, Cai Hongming smiled and called to Sen Qiang, "Miss Sen." Sen Qiang knew that it was not a good thing when she saw his playful face, because she had long seen that he mostly dealt with the interviewers like them, and he didn't hate them, nor was he enthusiastic, just like two people who met by chance, indifferent. But now he actually smiled and called her Miss Sen. You know, he always called him Reporter Sen. If he said he was asking her for help, God would not believe it. But they had been together for 2 days, and since he was a nice person and worked hard to prepare a delicious meal yesterday, she reluctantly responded, "Is there anything? It's a small matter, Miss Sen. I need your help." Cai Hongming's smile became even brighter. "Tell me, I may not be able to help." Sen Qiang raised her chin and said proudly, "It's just a small matter. You can definitely help," Cai Hongming said, and whispered a few words in Sen Qiang's ear. "You actually asked me to do this?" Sen Qiang listened and looked at him strangely. "You are the only woman with a nice voice here, so please. If I win, if you don't go back today, I will treat you to the most special local snacks in the evening. How about it?" Seeing that the woman was a little hesitant, Cai Hongming added a little more weight. Sen Qiang thought about it and nodded in agreement. It was just a matter of a few words anyway. "Brother Bird, do you still want to compete? If you don't, it will be dark." Tuoba Niu was waiting there impatiently, screaming, "Are you going to let me talk?" Cai Hongming turned back and shouted angrily. Seeing that Sen Qiang agreed, he walked over. Seeing him coming, Tuoba Niu suddenly pressed the accelerator, and the car suddenly made a loud rumbling sound. You can tell that the power is strong. Cai Hongming saw it, got in the car, and started to drive hard, grabbing the accelerator. The car roared like the roar of an ancient beast, and the wheels at the back spun wildly in place. "Brother Bird, remember to treat me to barbecue if you lose." Tuoba Niu did not forget to stimulate Cai Hongming. Don't worry, I don't care about barbecue for 1 or 200 yuan, but you, remember to prepare the car if you lose. Cai Hongming was not fooled. What I, to Oberniu, say is like a nail. There is no reason to swallow it back, but it depends on whether you have the ability. We will know until the end. The two confronted each other, trying to stimulate each other with words, but unfortunately neither of them was a vegetarian. It's all nonsense to talk too much. The race entered the countdown. 1.2.3. As the final countdown sound came from the car, Cai Hongming released the clutch that he had been holding tightly, and the car rushed forward like an arrow. To Oberniu was not a weakling either. He drove his shabby repair car and caught up with him in an instant, and it seemed that he was going to surpass him. The two walked side by side. To Oberniu looked at Cai Hongming and felt that this bird brother was a stupid bird. He thought that his shabby repair car was easy to bully. Didn't he know that it had a strong heart under its dirty and shabby appearance? There were few vehicles and few people on the desert road, so they could gallop to their heart's content. The two drove very fast, rolling up dust all the way, and instantly turned into two black shadows and sped away. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 22. You're cheating. Sen Qiang looked at the car that was leaving quickly and couldn't help but worry. They are driving so fast. Will they be okay? The staff sent by the county to receive her was a native of Guilin. He was familiar with the town and was even more familiar with Tu Oberniu, the car repairman, and Cai Hongming, the barbecue seller. Seeing her worry, he smiled and said, "It's okay. Don't look at Cai Hongming's car. In fact, it is made of thickened steel plates all over the body, with superpower, and there are airbags inside. Even if the car flips over, the people will be fine." The other one is the owner of the repair shop in the town. He is very familiar with his car, and will definitely not let himself get into trouble. Don't worry. After hearing the words of the receptionist, Sen Qiang was slightly relieved. However, the CCTV staff behind felt very incredible and asked, "Can airbags be installed on motorcycles? How much does it cost?" As long as you have money, there is nothing you can't do. Don't look at Cai Hongming. He is actually a rich man. He has a barbecue stall in the town. His business is good. He can sell at least 10,000 a day, and it is possible to sell more than 20,000. The receptionist often goes to eat barbecue and knows these very well. That's at least 300,000 a month, which can be considered a landlord, much better than those of us who get a fixed salary. The CCTV staff said in surprise. You can't calculate it that way, they still need capital. Sen Qiang said something fair. Who do you think will win between the two racing cars? A young and thin CCTV staff member asked. It must be the car repairman. Didn't you hear that Cai Hongming's car was also modified by him? Someone next to him interrupted. That's not necessarily true. I heard that Cai Hongming spent a lot of money to modify that car. The government reception staff said. Why don't we make a bet to see whose car wins? I bet 100. I bet 100 too. I bet 100 too. The CCTV staff members all started to make a fuss. After all, 100 or 200 yuan is not a lot of money. Just treat it as a pastime during the lonely journey. Qiang, do you want to come and play too? An older photographer asked Sen Qiang. I'll be the banker. The odds are 1 to 1, but don't be more than 200. Otherwise I won't be able to pay for the loss, even if I lose myself. Sometimes you have to play with everyone, so that everyone can treat you as one of their own. Otherwise you can only be a lonely little bird forever. Sen Qiang has been a reporter for so long, and has a deep understanding of this. The CCTV staff laughed after hearing this, and no one took her words seriously, but they didn't bet too much. Small bets are fun, but big bets can hurt your body. Cai Hongming and Tu Oberniu's cars were speeding on the black asphalt desert road. Because they were driving too fast, the cars seemed to be floating on the road. Both of them had good skills and cars, and they were evenly matched for the time being, speeding side by side. A little further ahead, They were almost at the huge sign "Welcome to Geelong" in front of Geelong County, which was their agreed destination. The time was almost up. Tuoba Niu glanced at Cai Hongming, thinking that he was really a stupid bird. Did he naively think he would win? With a disdainful smile on his lips, he pressed a button on the car with his index finger. At this moment, his cell phone suddenly rang, and he picked it up. "Hello, this is Niu. Who is? Dear, where are you? I miss you so much." A burst of intermittent soft whispers came from the phone, which made people's hearts surge. Tuoba Niu's blood boiled immediately, and a hot air rushed to his forehead from his dantian. His face was red, and his hands trembled uncontrollably. The steering wheel was unstable for a while, and the car rushed to the sand dunes on the side. Taking this opportunity, Cai Hongming pressed the accelerator hard, and the car flew off the ground in an instant and rushed forward. A moment later, it reached the finish line. KO. Complete victory. When it returned to normal, Tuoba Niu drove the car to the agreed finish line, and saw Cai Hongming standing under the huge sign that spanned both sides of the road, hugging his arms, and looking at him with a very arrogant look. Seeing his silly look, Tuoba Niu felt his blood boiling. He opened the car door and jumped down, shouting excitedly, "You are so insidious, you are cheating." Cai Hongming looked at this stupid cow with amusement. He knew that this guy was a virgin who had never had sex with anyone, very pure. Until now, he has never even held a girl's hand, and he will blush when he sees a girl looking at him. So he has a problem. He can't stand hearing a woman's coquettish voice, and his hands and feet will tremble unconsciously. So he asked Senkiang for help. Sure enough, the voice of a woman in a coquettish voice isn't temptation that a pure virgin can never resist. Brother Niu, don't say that. This is called all is fair in war, and it is called reasonable tactical application. Don't tell me that you didn't have any tricks up your sleeve, otherwise you wouldn't be so stupid to ask to race with me again and again. Tuoba Niu felt a little embarrassed when he heard it. Although his car looks like a repair car that combines a crane and a trailer, he has greatly modified the inside. Not only is it powerful, but it is also equipped with a nitrogen acceleration system. Otherwise, he would not have gone around looking for people to race with. He originally planned to use it to cheat people. Unexpectedly, not only did he not cheat anyone today, but he was cheated by someone instead. You won't deny that you lost, will you? Cai Hongming looked surprised. Who doesn't admit that they lost? Niu. Never break my promise. This time I'm unlucky. You won't be so lucky next time. Come to my place in a few days and I will show you the car. After saying that, Tuoba Niu opened the car door indignantly and drove away. Cai Hongming looked at his leaving figure and laughed evilly. Being able to cheat him once is finally worthy of the money he has spent on repairing his car over the years. When he returned home and opened the car door, he suddenly found that the sheep in the car was actually scared to have diarrhea because the car was driving too fast. There were spots of loose feces everywhere in the car, and it smelled terrible. He hurriedly drove the sheep down, fed them some food, and also fed them some water mixed with jade toad liquid to soothe their injured and weak hearts. After a period of experimentation, he found that jade toad liquid not only promotes biological growth, helps to heal wounds, but also restores physical strength and vitality. In short, it is very wonderful. After observing for a while, he did not find any sequelae of drinking jade toad liquid. If there is any, it is that, after feeding the jade toad liquid mixed with water, the appetite of scorpions and roosters has increased. But this is just a small matter, so he plans to try the effect at night. Just drink a little, even if something happens, he can react. The sheep had diarrhea and sprayed the car everywhere. It was so smelly that he had to clean it for a long time. He used 5 or 6 bottles of floral water, but couldn't cover up the stench. It is estimated that it will take a few days to dissipate. After returning, Senkiang and his party interviewed his parents again, and then returned to the guest house. They originally wanted to go back today, but after learning from the government reception staff that the Guinness World Record staff would come to present the certificate tomorrow, they stayed and planned to take some photos before leaving. So of course Cai Hongming treated them to dinner in the evening. He originally wanted to skip this meal. Chapter 23 Noodlefish. Come, try the sweet potato porridge made from the same variety of sweet potatoes as the world's largest sweet potato. How does it taste? Cai Hongming enthusiastically placed the sweet potato porridge in front of the CCTV reporters. He said that the Ginang specialty snacks he invited Sen Qiang and others to eat were actually his barbecue. He thought that it would be better to save money for himself than to save money for others. Who dares to say that his barbecue is not a Ginang specialty snack? Of course, you can't just eat sweet potato porridge and barbecue when you invite guests. Cai Hongming also bought a fish to grill and took some mutton offal for mutton offal noodles and boiled them with soy sauce and marinade. The originally tasteless mutton offal became fragrant and delicious after stewing, and it tasted very delicious. Then, he also bought local specialty foods such as stuffed skin, chive boxes and mixed glutinous rice balls. Jade is also called noodle fish. In fact, it is a noodle dish that is cooked in soup by cutting the kneaded dough with chopsticks or a small shovel into pieces with fat in the middle and pointed at both ends. Generally, there are chicken, rabbit meat, chicken gizzard, braised pork, spare ribs, pig's trotters, beef, mutton and other varieties. It tastes smooth and refreshing, with a unique flavor. However, Cai Hongming's mixed. Oh, it's a festival? Such a sumptuous meal. Tuoba Niu came over with a thin young man, glanced at the table of CCTV reporters, and said with dissatisfaction in his heart, "Brother Bird, you are too partial to one and the other. There are fish, vegetables and hot pot here. I have been eating at your place for so long, and have never enjoyed such treatment. After all, we are the ones who pay the money. You have to get something delicious for me. I'm tired of eating mutton every day. According to you, if I go to your place to repair the car, I'm also the boss. Then, can I ask you to tap my back, pinch my feet, and give me a massage while you repair the car? How can the two be the same?" Seeing that he could not win the argument, Tuoba Niu quickly changed the subject and said, "Forget it, I'm too lazy to talk to you. Give me 20 mutton skewers, a beggar's chicken, and a few bottles of beer." After ordering the dishes, he was so jealous of the steaming hot pot on Sen Qiang's table that he said, "Brother Bird, it's so cold, you should at least make a small stove for people to drink hot soup to warm up." Cai Hongming thought about it and felt that it made sense, so he went to buy a palm-sized red clay stove and a casserole, then put charcoal on it, lit it, and sent it to them. However, there was nothing to burn in his barbecue stall, so he could only cook some mutton soup for mutton noodles, but it was comfortable to drink hot soup in this weather, not to mention there was a charcoal stove to roast. The mutton soup was boiling on the stove, and Tuoba Niu scooped a bowl of hot soup and drank it slowly. The mood was like eating cold 4-fruit soup in the dog days of summer. In one word, refreshing. After drinking the soup, eating beggar chicken and mutton skewers, I inadvertently saw CCTV reporters next door blanching vegetables. He suddenly felt uncomfortable and yelled to Cai Hongming again, "Brother Bird, do you have any vegetables? Bring me some vegetables to heat up. I'm tired of eating meat all day." He was very upset because he lost the race today, so he came to bother Cai Hongming. Cai Hongming looked at him and said, "Okay, I'll ask my mother to get some right away." Tuoba Niu swallowed hard and said, "Why are you asking auntie to get some vegetables? Can't you get it yourself? Where can I get it at this late hour? Of course I'll get it from my house. If I don't ask my mother, I won't have time now. Now is the time for listing, and more people are coming, so he has to help." "Forget it then," Tuoba Niu said hurriedly. If his mother came and knew that he wanted to eat vegetables, she would definitely pat his thin shoulders with her fat bare paws and say, "What vegetables do young people eat? You have to eat meat to grow fat." His thin body can't bear the weight of her old lady, so it's better not to bother her. After the CCTV reporters finished eating, they left tactfully in order not to delay Cai Hongming's business. However, it was the market time, and people who wanted to eat began to come. Those who came to Cai Hongming's place to eat barbecue were all acquaintances who knew each other well. When they saw Tuoba Niu's small charcoal stove, they all asked for one. Cai Hongming had no choice but to buy some small red clay stoves and casseroles. Of course, he had to scald things with a stove, but he didn't have any vegetables, so he could only cook mutton offal. In the end, not many noodles of mutton offal were sold, but all the mutton offal was sold out. Cai Hongming looked at it and thought, should he bring some beef and vegetables to people to school tomorrow so that he could earn more money and offset the money for the charcoal. Now he gives people the use of these charcoal stoves for free, which feels a bit of a loss. After eating the mutton skewers, Tuoba and his friends asked for some more and ate them slowly over there. When Cai Hongming was not so busy, Tuoba called him, "Brother Bird, come here, I will introduce you to someone." "Who?" "Don't tell me that you want to introduce your cousins, aunts, and cousins to me. I don't want to get married so early." Cai Hongming walked over and teased. "Don't you look at how you look. You still want me to introduce women to you? Go home and have a shower." Tuoba looked down on him and said, "Let me introduce you to my friend, a hacker legend. He has superb skills and is a legendary hacker, a hacker among hackers. If you have any problems with your computer in the future or want to do something related to the internet, come to him and he will definitely help you solve it. For example, I asked him to help with the satellite navigation positioning system on your car. How is it? Is it useful?" "Not bad." Cai Hongming nodded. To be honest, the navigation system of his four-wheeled motorcycle is indeed well made and cheap. "Does your friend open a store?" "He doesn't have a store, and he doesn't do this full time. He is a writer who writes online novels, and the computer business is a part-time job. Writing novels and working on computers part-time." Cai Hongming felt that it was a bit unrealistic. Can this thing be a part-time job? Since your friend's computer is so powerful, why doesn't he do this full-time and earn more money? This is not in line with his dream. He feels that writing novels is more comfortable. After all, he can write whatever he wants in the novels. Murder, arson, stealing, sex, love, whatever he wants, and he can stay at home every day without going anywhere. Why does it have to be so troublesome to work on computers? He has to go when someone calls him, and he can't rest, even if it's windy or rainy. How tiring. What a great dream. Looking at the man in front of him, Cai Hongming was speechless. After looking at him, he suddenly felt that he seemed to have seen Tuoba friend somewhere, but he didn't know where. He couldn't help but ask him, "Do we know each other?" "No, I don't know," the man said evasively. Cai Hongming felt more and more familiar with him, but he just couldn't remember where he had seen him before. It happened that Ziwi Feng also came to eat today, and he knew more people than him. So, he went to the table where Ziwi Feng was eating and called out, "He Mian Feng, come here. What are you doing? If you call me a nickname like your mother again, I will get angry with you." Ziwi Feng walked over with a dark face. "I know, I won't call him that next time. Look at him. Do you recognize him?" Ziwi Feng had been running around the town since he was a child, and he knew everyone in the town. When he was in school, he was the big brother, and he brought a group of younger brothers to bully people, so there was no child in the town that he didn't know. Ziwi Feng looked at Tuoba friend, thought about it, and really remembered this person. "I remember now. Isn't he the skinny little boy with a runny nose in the first grade? I still remember that one time when he had a runny nose, he splashed his snot on Black Bear in the second grade and third grade, and he was severely beaten by him. You forgot that you were there at the time, and you couldn't stand it, so you kicked Black Bear." Hearing him say this, Cai Hongming remembered that this guy used to be as thin as a stick and only as tall as a standing fan. I didn't expect him to grow up so big now. It's true that men change a lot when they grow up. The more they change, the more different they become. Chapter 24, just a part-time job. It's him. I was wondering why he looked so familiar. It turns out I really know him. After hearing what Ziwi Feng said, Cai Hongming finally remembered who the man in front of him was. After all, they were alumni, so he asked, "What's your name?" "Brother Bird, my name is Kidioji Sheo," the young man said respectfully. He couldn't help but be respectful, because the scene in junior high school was really too shocking. He never forgot the kick Cai Hongming gave to that person when he was bullied at school. That kick directly knocked the person down, and he didn't get up for 3 whole days. You can imagine how serious it was. From then on, he had a fear of him in his heart, and gratitude seemed to be only a little bit. "You are really that good at playing computer games?" Cai Hongming asked. Not very good, just a little bit. When it comes to things he is proficient in, Kidaoji Sheo suddenly becomes confident. If that's the case, I have something to ask you for help. Can I connect my LCD TV to the internet through my mobile phone, and then use the mobile phone to remotely control the TV and communicate with my family through video, just like using a computer video? Of course, but first your LCD TV must be able to access the internet, and then install a camera, set up a program, and download a mobile phone control software to control the LCD TV. In fact, just like our closed-circuit television, one host can control several cameras. It's a very simple thing. Cai Hongming had long wanted to connect his LCD TV and the LCD TV in Kilian village to his mobile phone. If he returns to his hometown in southern Fujian, he can also turn it on to see the situation here and contact his family and talk. It's a pity that he doesn't have the technology, so he was delayed. At this time, hearing Kidaoji Sheo say this, he immediately became interested. What's your phone number? I'll write it down and find you when I'm done in 2 days. Brother Bird, you won't ask people to help you for nothing. Leo Dio relies on this to make a living. Tuoba was afraid that his friend would suffer, so he chimed in. It doesn't matter. It's not a skill. It's very easy. Kidaoji Sheo said quickly. Cai Hongming wrote down the number Kidaoji Sheo sent, turned around and said to Tuoba, didn't you say he was a writer? Writing books is good. How come he has to make a living from it? Writing books is good, but it also depends on whether there is a contract and whether there are people who subscribe to it after signing. Among the books written by Leo Dio, only one has been signed and only a few people have subscribed. The money I earn is not enough for me to repair a car. If I rely on that to make a living, I would have starved to death. I understand. I won't treat him badly, Cai Hongming said, and then left to see if Xiaopang needed help. In fact, he really didn't think about giving money to Kidaoji Sheo. This is not a troublesome thing. If he didn't know how to do it, he would have done it himself long ago. It wouldn't be his turn. Xiaopang beside the grill kept grilling skewers. In the cold weather, he was sweating hotly because of the charcoal fire. Song Na was waiting on the side to bring the grilled skewers to the guests, and from time to time she would bring some things to the guests. Cai Hongming walked to the side, picked up a few skewers of grilled lamb and ate them, which made Xiaopang feel very resentful. These grilled lamb skewers were to be sent to the customers. Now that they were taken by him, there were a few less skewers, and the customers were going to be angry again. But who can blame him for being the boss? He had no choice but to pick up a few more skewers of lamb and grill them. Song Na, come, have one. Cai Hongming handed a skewer of grilled meat to Song Na. I don't want it. Eating too much will make you get a sore throat. Song Na shook her head. You can't eat too much. If you eat too much, you'll get acne. Zi Weifeng didn't go back to continue drinking and eating meat with his friends, but followed Cai Hongming. When he heard what he said, last time, I saw a girl with acne all over her face because of anger. She was afraid of being seen, so she covered the acne with makeup. In the end, because her face was covered with makeup, her skin couldn't breathe. Not only did the acne not disappear, but it got worse. She was almost disfigured. So girls should be more careful. Although Song Na was not the kind of girl who loved beauty, she was also very nervous after hearing this. She thought that she couldn't eat barbecue anymore in the future. After all, no one wanted to become an ugly monster. Cai Hongming glared at him and blamed him for scaring Song Na. When did you become so knowledgeable? I said you treat people to food every day. You look cool, right? Who said I treat? Others treat. Zi Weifeng said arrogantly, as if I was the boss. That's right. Otherwise I guess your salary would have been wasted by you. I don't care about that little salary. If I wasn't afraid of what my mother would say, I would have quit long ago. What do you want to do if you don't work? Medicinal materials business. I found that we have not only a lot of medicinal materials here, but also very authentic, and most importantly, cheap. As long as we transport them outside, we will definitely make a lot of money. Zi Weifeng whispered to Cai Hongming. Guilin is located at the eastern end of the Hexi corridor, the northern foot of Washaoling, and the southern edge of the Tengja Desert. It has both deserts and forests and grasslands, and has a natural and unique geographical environment. Therefore, it is rich in Cinnamomorium sangaricum, Cistanche desserticola, Angelica sinensis, Licorice, Vicarius agetilis, Lycium barbarum and other herbs. The neighboring counties and cities are all places where medicinal materials are produced. In the mountainous areas, there are also precious medicinal materials such as Cordyceps sinensis and snow lotus, which can be said to be uniquely endowed. After listening to this, Cai Hongming nodded and said, "This business is indeed possible, but you need connections. If you don't have connections, what's the use of knowing all this? Of course I have connections. If I don't have connections, what can I say? You stay in the county all day. What connections do you have?" Cai Hongming looked at him curiously. Zhi Weifeng said with some pride, "Nowadays, we live in an internet society. With the internet, there is nothing that cannot be done. I have an online friend. After he knew that I was from here, he asked me to send him some Cinnamomorium sangaricum. I was in a good mood that time, so I went to the desert to dig a few and sent them to him. That person's cousin runs a restaurant. After seeing them, he thought the Cinnamomorium sangaricum I dug was good, so he ordered some and planned to make a medicinal meal in his store. I was too lazy to dig so many, so I bought some in the market and sent them to him. Unexpectedly, a medicinal material merchant found that the medicinal materials there were fresh and authentic when he was eating medicinal food at his place, so he contacted me through him and said that he also wanted to buy some and he would take as many medicinal materials like that as he could. You won't be cheated, will you? Cai Hongming felt that the twists and turns of this story were comparable to the romantic soap operas on the 8 o'clock TV station that were specifically designed to trick women into tears. Am I that stupid? People only buy my herbs because they are good and cheap. You don't know that, although the herbs here are cheap, they are extremely expensive in the south after a little packaging. I guess that person is also a second-hand dealer, and he plans to buy herbs and sell them to big hotels to make medicinal meals. If that's true, then this business can be done. Of course, but I just lack funds. Zhi Weifeng looked at Cai Hongming. Glancing at Zhi Weifeng, Cai Hongming finally knew what he was planning. It turned out that he wanted to borrow money from him to start a business. It was probably because he was unwilling to do business with his friends in the past, so he wanted to start his own business. Yes, seeing that the friends he used to play with have their own businesses, while he works from 9 to 5, sometimes even working 12 hours a day, and only earns 2 or 3,000 yuan. Anyone who sees it will probably feel unbalanced. What's more, he is a big brother who is called brother. If he is compared with his brothers, how can he hold his head high in front of them in the future? Chapter 25 White Yak Hide. Cai Hongming looked at Zhi Weifeng and wondered if he should lend him the money. They grew up together. His family lived near his. He was one grade lower than him when he was in junior high school. He had seen Zhi Weifeng teach others a lesson, so he admired him a little. Although he was a bit eccentric, he was trustworthy and had a sense of brotherhood. He could do well in the medicinal materials business in Langzhou. After thinking about it, he realized that they were classmates and friends, and they often came to support him. He couldn't bear to see him trapped in money. So, Cai Hongming said to him, "I can lend you some money, but it's only tens of thousands, not much. Tens of thousands are enough, plus the money I've saved in the past few years. I can try it first. If I make money, I can borrow from others. If I don't make money, I won't lose too much." Zhi Weifeng said happily. "How much money have you saved?" Cai Hongming asked. Zhi Weifeng scratched the back of his head awkwardly, hesitated for a moment, and finally said, "Probably a few thousand." Cai Hongming didn't have much hope in the first place. This guy would treat everyone to drinks whenever he had money, so how could he have any extra money? Zhi Weifeng was a little embarrassed. After thinking about it, he seemed to have made some great decision, and said to Cai Hongming, "Brother Big Bird, why don't you treat these tens of thousands as an investment? I'll give you 20% of the shares." Cai Hongming glanced at him sideways. This was a prelude to getting his money. This hand of getting something for nothing was used well. It was ruthless enough. In this way, I don't have to pay him back in the future. It's a good idea, but there is no guarantee that he really wants him to invest so that they can make money together and lose money together. However, he has his own business and doesn't want to get involved with him. Besides, even the best friends may turn against each other because of money. It's better for the two of them not to have financial dealings to avoid getting dirty. No, just consider it as a loan. Zhi Weifeng gave up the idea after hearing this. Cai Hongming thought about it and felt that with the soaring prices now, tens of thousands of yuan would not be enough to do any business. It was just that he had no money recently, otherwise he could lend him more. After thinking about it, he put his arm around Zhi Weifeng's shoulder and walked towards the table where Tuo Niu was eating, intending to introduce him to see if he could borrow some money from Tuo Niu. Come on, I'll introduce you to a rich man and see if he can lend you some money. Tuo Niu and Qi Daoji Shao were eating meat and drinking while chatting and gossiping, looking so carefree. Cai Hongming brought Zhi Weifeng over and sat down, introducing them. This is Tuo Niu, the owner of the super awesome auto repair shop in town. Everyone calls him Niu. That's Qi Daoji Shao. Niu calls him Lao Dao. Brother Bird, just call me AG. Qi Daoji Shao said quickly. It's okay for one or two people to call this old eagle by his ugly name, but if it gets out, his innocence that he has kept for more than 20 years will be ruined. This is my friend Zhi Weifeng. Everyone calls him Brother Feng. You can just call him a Feng. After the introduction, Cai Hongming said to Tuo Niu, little Niu, how about introducing you to a way to make money? What way to make money? Tuo Niu said in a muffled voice. Ever since he lost the car race, he has become more and more unhappy with Cai Hongming. You know we have a lot of medicinal herbs here, and doing the medicinal herbs business will definitely make money. A Feng wants to do this business, but he just needs funds. Do you want to invest? Tuo Niu glanced at him, snorted, and fiercely pulled the mutton skewer in his mouth, and chewed it in big mouthfuls. He didn't know about others, but he knew Cai Hongming very well. Like his mother, he was a stingy person. His mother can say that a fat rabbit has high blood pressure, diabetes, and obesity. A large castrated chicken weighing 8 or 9 kilograms is said to be fed with hormones to make it bigger. In the market, she can also cut the price of a vegetable worth 50 cents to 30 cents and let the seller give her a tomato. And his son is not an easy person to deal with. Take the four-wheeled motorcycle he rides for example. It was originally empty, with nothing but the motorcycle frame. He modified it to be covered with steel, and also replaced it with a V12 cylinder engine, installed airbags, audio CD, air conditioning and heating. He only paid hundreds of thousands of yuan, but he still said it was expensive. The main reason is that the hundreds of thousands of yuan were not paid in one lump sum, but in installments. My god, when did he let people pay in installments for repairing a car? So this kind of extremely stingy person, if there is a profitable business, can he not rush forward? Will he give you a chance? No one will believe it, not to mention that he is still a human being. So, he kindly refused and said, Brother Bird, I recently bought a batch of cars and I don't have any money, so I'm sorry. Seeing him like this, Zhi Weifeng knew that the other party was unwilling. He was also a person who wanted to save face, so he didn't have the face to stay any longer and just left. Seeing that there was no hope, Cai Hongming was too lazy to say anything more and was about to leave. Tuo Niu saw this and hurriedly called him, Brother Bird, can you get some beef to wash it? I'm tired of eating mutton all day long, and it's not a good idea to only eat mutton offal when there is a stove. Cai Hongming originally wanted to get some beef and vegetables to blanch, and nodded when he heard what he said. He turned around and saw that most of the people eating barbecue were acquaintances, so he went to the stall to get a notebook and then shouted to the people eating barbecue, everyone, pay attention, there is a good news. In 2 days, I will go to the mountains to pull some yaks back to slaughter. Do you want meat? If you want meat, tell me so that I can get more. Brother Bird, I want a bull head with horns, the kind that is a little curved and round. I will take it back and hang it on the car. I also want some meat, more than 10 pounds, and some beef offal. I will take it back for my dad to eat. Tuo Niu said immediately. Brother Bird, is it a white yak? Qi Daoji Shao next to him also asked. Yeah. Cai Hongming nodded. Then I want a white yak skin, preferably the kind with long hair and a bull head. When the time comes, I will have someone prepare the skin and spread it on the chair. It will definitely be comfortable to sit on. Then I want one too. To Obereniyu felt itchy when he heard him say that. Give me 20 catties, but I don't want raw meat. Cook it for me, and I'll come get it later. Zhu Weifeng said. He knew that Cai Hongming had a unique skill in cooking yak meat. Not only did it taste good after cooking, it was also nourishing. Only a fool would want raw meat. Give me 20 catties too. I want 15 catties. I want 10 catties. Everyone was familiar with the food here, and they all knew that Cai Hongming would go to the mountains over in Jiangsu from time to time to bring back the original ecological yaks raised by farmers and slaughter them. The meat of that kind of yak is much more delicious than that of yaks raised with ordinary feed. So when they heard that he was going to bring back yaks, they all wanted some. In the end, Cai Hongming calculated that he had to kill about 3 yaks to share. Don't think that yaks have a lot of meat because they are big. In fact, they have a big skeleton and the internal organs are occupied. At most, only half of the meat can be taken from a yak. Cai Hongming calculated carefully that he should be able to make a little money from the 3 yaks after deducting the transportation fee, which can be regarded as the hard work fee for his special trip. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.